Victoria Heasley. If someone followed you around for a week, what would surprise them most about how you spend your time?
I think that person would be probably surprised of how many things I'm doing at once,
Yeah.
and maybe the simple, visual perspective they would have is just how many tabs I have open on my computer at a given time.
Yeah.
And even sometimes multiple computers with
Yeah.
multiple screens, and I think that would give them probably insight into what my brain looks like. Not
Okay.
good.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, you are involved in a lot of things. So, for someone who doesn't know you, who are you?
Mm, that's hard. It's hard not to just, like, think about jobs, right? And that's something that I'm always working on. It's like,
Yeah.
obviously, we're way more than just our careers and our jobs.
Mhm.
And so I guess I would say I'm a Pennsylvania person who is now in Ohio, and so please don't hold that against me, but I am from Pennsylvania. I love hanging out with my family and friends, but I also really love connecting people and
Mm.
connecting people to who they might connect with as friends, who might be able to connect with and like hit it off with someone. But I love just connecting people, connecting organizations, connecting in any way possible. I like to build things too
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely are a connector. Can you do me one favor? Turn the mic a little bit more towards your mouth.
that
Yeah,
way.
that's great.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, can you kind of give us like a sneak peek as far as like the roles that you play as well in life?
So I am a physician. I'm a sports medicine physician, but I'm also a physical medicine rehabilitation or PM and R doctor. I am also a biomedical engineer and I'm a professor in biomedical engineering at UC. I'm also one of the co-founders and the current president of the Bridge Adaptive Sports and Recreation, our nonprofit here in Cincinnati.
Yep.
And then I help one of the team doctors for UC Athletics and also UC Adaptive Athletics.
Cool. Um yeah, that's definitely an impressive resume. We'll get into a little bit later. I'm curious how you manage all that and with your time and all that. So, can you explain how you and I know each other?
We met from one of the bridge events in the very beginning
Mhm.
when the bridge was really new, really formed. I think it might have even been when we were doing like an outdoor exercising class, like at the end of COVID. I think it's the
Oh,
first time we might have met. And
interesting.
we had like just tried to connect with all the people like that Jake knew, who Danny, Mimi, Renee, and
Yeah,
which all who we knew, and we were like outside
yeah,
because like masks were still a thing.
I remember that.
I think that was, like, the very first time, and then, obviously, with wheelchair tennis, we got to know each other. I came out to wheelchair tennis, you
Yeah.
showed me around, showed me what it was like, playing and introduced me to people, and then
Mhm.
through a lot of events, obviously, with
Yeah.
Store Expo, bridge events,
Mhm.
I may or may not have seen you as a patient.
Yeah, yeah, right. I thought the first time that we met was the Sora Expo,
Was it?
and no,
I think it
I
was
think
the
you're right. It was the COVID.
like, super
Yeah,
early.
yeah, and I completely, I guess, blocked that out of my head or something. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
I
it
thought,
was like everyone couldn't be inside and we're like, "Oh, let's just be able to exercise outside," and I remember drawing chalk, like, borders of,
yeah,
like, 6 feet apart for everyone to stay in their little 6 feet bubble.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, but then the Sora Expo happened, and I mean, you were coordinating it, so I think that's why that stands out in my
Yeah.
head and a lot more. And you reached out and was like, "Hey, we're doing this. Come out." And so yeah, we've done it. I think have we done it every year since it started, or
Yeah,
we might have missed a year or so.
I think it was, like, a year and a half because we used to do it in the fall, and then we
Yeah,
switched it to spring, and so I think it ended up being, like, a but pretty much every year, just, like, a year and a half to offset to the spring.
yeah, yeah. And then you and you and a bunch of other people have connected me with your students who've
Yes.
come out to watch tennis and all that. So yeah, it's been cool. I don't think, I don't know. Do you think we could count on two hands how many times we've actually seen each other in person?
I guess a lot of meetings are virtual.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I would
maybe.
say it's probably around that, right?
Probably. I feel like a lot of virtual meetings, a
Yeah,
lot of emails,
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
coordinating behind the scenes.
Yeah, 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 exactly. If we weren't recording here in studio, what would you be doing?
Today is Tuesday. Well, it's technically still in the summer, so I'm not covering sports right now. There's not a sport event that I would be working, so I'd probably be at home,
Okay.
probably, like, cooking,
Okay.
and sometimes I like to take time where I call it blob time, where I just sit and watch TV, so
Okay.
I might be
Yeah.
doing that.
Okay, cool. I am impressed that you have, a segment in your time, which you probably do very little, that you actually have a name for, so
Yeah, blob time,
that's
that's what I call
great.
it.
I've never heard someone call it blob time. I might start using that, so
It makes you it's like, that's my time, I gotta schedule it out, so
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just a couple fun questions. If you could learn one skill overnight, what would it be?
always wanted to learn to play the drums. I
Ooh,
think that would be really fun. I got to
okay,
play, like, one time. Someone taught me how to play on the drum set, and I
okay.
only knew, like, 2 little things, and I played, but I would like to be, like, actually be able to play the drum set.
Interesting. I've never had, like, any desire to learn drums. I think part of the reason is because I have no rhythm. So, like, I just be like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah,
Just
maybe I don't have rhythm, but I think it just seems so cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Guitar, I if there's an instrument, guitar would be mine, so, okay, so another fun one. You have unlimited funding for one adaptive sports project. What are you building?
I mean, my, like, initial answer would be, like, an amazing facility.
Ooh,
Being able to have facility where anyone can come if they wanna work out on their own or with a trainer, or
yeah.
maybe they wanna come with their team. Obviously, that I would need unlimited funding for that because I'm picturing, like, a big campus and everything.
Yeah.
So that's kinda cheating, 'cause that's a big project. It's not really one project, but
Multiple sports as well.
yes.
I'll accept that as an answer,
Thank
like,
you.
that's great.
Unlimited budget is what I really need.
Yeah, yeah, right. Big complex like Turnstone, or have you ever been
Yeah.
to
Yep.
Turnstone?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a fantastic facility. I think we could do better though, it
I like it.
with the right funding, but,
Yeah, I just need to find that unlimited pot that you maybe
Y
mentioned, so
yeah, yeah, yeah. If only we just found a money tree or something like that, but all right, everybody, welcome to the Rolling Forward Podcast, a podcast of people who keep rolling forward no matter what life throws at them. Real people, real stories, powered by purpose, resilience, and a drive that never ends. I'm Zach Sikora. Spina bifida didn't stop me. It just gave me a better excuse to sit down while I take over the world. Today's funny t-shirt is the Rolling Forward Podcast brand. Kind of funny, kind of not, but it's a superhero in a wheelchair, and I just thought a superhero in a wheelchair is kind of like an oxymoron. But anyway, you can get one of these t-shirts at rollingforward.printful.me. Helps the podcast, helps me grow. Yeah, so rollingforward.printful.me. That's where you can get one of these t-shirts. And The other thing that I want to say is I'd really love to earn your subscription. So if you've watched multiple episodes, or this is your first time watching, wait till the end. See if you like my content, then hit that subscribe. It really helps my channel. And also, I'd love to hear from you. So do my guests. So if you have any comments about anything that we're saying today, please throw it in the comments. Also, hit that like button if you like the episode as well. So, all right, let's keep rolling forward into today's episode with Victoria. Okay, Victoria. So I want to get into a little bit about a little bit of your childhood. So, who were you as a young kid?
Probably similar to now, and I was always doing something.
Okay.
And it wasn't like my parents. I think I was just always like interested in doing something. I was always busy doing things. So
Yeah.
I used to dance my whole life. So I was
Oh.
dancing and taking dance lessons, and when I got older, teaching. So I was always at a dance studio. I also played multiple instruments. So I was always in lessons or like ensembles or
Ah.
practicing. I played the flute and piano. And then I'm not an
So
athlete at all.
so wait. You played the flute and piano,
Mhm.
but you said you want to learn drums.
Yes.
Did you like drums early on, or is that just like kind of a new thing?
No. No, I never played the drums, except I remember I think I was in high school, they did this, like, fun fundraiser, like, rock concert where,
Mhm.
like, people could perform, and I asked someone to teach me how to play the drum set for one song.
Okay.
That was my claim to fame.
Okay,
I got to
cool.
play the drums for one song, and it was, like, one thing over and over again, so it
Yeah.
was not complicated.
Which instrument were you best at?
Probably well, flute and then piccolo, so probably yeah.
Piccolo. I don't think I've
It's just a really small flute, it's, like, this big.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think I can read music anymore, actually, like, all those years, I was just thinking about that. Someone asked me if I could, like, read sheet music to play piano again, and I don't think I don't think I could, to be
Oh,
honest, which is sad. It kinda left
interesting.
my brain.
Huh. I don't know that like, I learned the French horn back in middle school. It was like I had to take a musical instrument or band and all that, so, French horn, I don't know that I could read music much anymore either, so but I wasn't as far along, I'm sure as you were, so okay, so back to who you were as a kid. You were
So, I was always doing something. Even though I do lots of sports medicine, as you all heard or will learn about, I don't consider myself much of an athlete other than a dancer, which is performing athletics, but I
Mhm.
was not good at, soccer or golf or anything that you would maybe consider like the traditional sports. Not me,
Yeah.
but somehow here I am.
Yeah, that is interesting. Okay.
But I grew up watching a ton of football
You did.
and going to high school football games with my family who always were embedded in football and going to Saturday football games, watching football all the weekend. So I
Yeah.
guess my whole family's all sports related.
Okay. Yeah, my family's a lot bigger into sports than I am. Like, if I have a friend who is interested in sports, then I'll probably get into that sport, but, it's more of like a social bonding type
Exactly.
thing than anything else. Like, I grew up, I don't know, 5 minutes away from OSU, so, like, we were a big Buckeye fan, and, I've been to several tailgates and stuff like that, so never really cared to pay attention to the football
Yeah.
unless, like, there's a big play or something like that. Like, I enjoy watching it when I do, but I don't know. Never stuck with me.
So I'm a Penn State fan and
Oh,
alumni.
okay, okay.
So it's hard being in Ohio now, but
Yeah. Right. I actually, this might not surprise you, but I don't really care. Like, sometimes if one of my friends is rooting for a team, I'll absolutely root for the other team just
just
because.
because
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, right. So, eh, are you I assume you're a type A personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, pretty extreme type A, would you say?
I guess so. I think I might have gotten less type A as I've gotten older. I don't know.
Oh,
I guess I think I'm always been like super organized and
yeah,
planning ahead. I still love doing that and checklists and being organized. But I think as I've gotten older, I love thinking outside the box.
yeah,
And I don't know, maybe that's type A, maybe that's not. But I
okay.
think I've definitely got more into like, we don't have to exactly listen to this rule
Yeah,
because it doesn't follow this, or like, oh, let's like think differently. So I think I've gotten more
yeah,
away from part of that, I would say.
okay. And then are you more introverted or extroverted?
So that's such a funny question because I literally have talked about this a lot recently. I
Really?
think I used to be very extroverted. And then with my job, I'm obviously always talking to people, whether
Yeah.
it's my coworkers or people in the office or patients or athletes or whoever.
Mhm.
And I think now sometimes I would say I'm almost like a extroverted introvert where
Okay.
like sometimes when I come home, like I do have to be quiet for a little. Like, just to have a little like mental break, a little mental like quiet. And
Yeah.
I don't think I used to be like that.
Mm.
And so I don't know. I guess changing.
Yeah. Yeah, so let me ask you, I have a friend who, is an extreme introvert. His name's Matt, he's been on the podcast, but he tells me, like, there's, like, 1, maybe 2 people in his life where, like, it doesn't drain his social battery, his mom being one of them, and so, like, when you say you need to relax, does that mean with your husband, or does that mean by yourself?
Sometimes both.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, even if it's just been one of those days where I'm like, everyone's talking, everyone's like, I'm constantly talking, everyone's talking. Sometimes it's even if it's just 5 minutes, like,
Mm,
I'll just literally sit quietly just for like my brain,
yeah.
just to like calm down for a second. But yeah, I would definitely say there's a lot of people that I'm like close with that doesn't drain the social battery. I think it's probably just like the sheer volume
Yeah.
almost of interactions I've had that day.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm an extreme extrovert. It's very rare that I get exhausted from like being around people. Now, I will say, like my niche or I guess where I thrive is like in smaller groups. I generally don't like to have like or be around like large groups, like all the festivals down in
Yeah.
downtown in Cincinnati. It's like that's just too much. I'm not. I don't know. I like being around like either one person or just a couple people, and that's where I get my energy. So, um, were you always someone who enjoyed solving problems?
Yes.
You were okay.
Yes.
Do you have a story from your childhood that kind of like is a great example of like what shaped you to be who you are today, or like kind of is an example of like who who you are today, or who you've always been?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like one exact story, but I would say it's just like a combination of things. Like
Sure.
I was always the one who was like, if like I used to love like playing with dolls and like,
Mm,
and I would like build like houses for them, or I would build like contraptions for my toys. And like, I never took apart toys because I felt like, oh, I was hurting them.
yeah.
But I would definitely take apart like more of like, like the cars. Things like those types of toys I would take apart, but I was
Okay.
always, like, building things or, like, coming up with these, like, um, plans of how to play. So even from, like, as young as I can remember, I was
Yeah.
always doing that,
Okay.
and, um, I think my parents were always just encouraging that, and I loved, like, building things, figuring out how things worked. I was
Yeah.
always asking questions. I was always trying to solve whatever puzzle, and I think my parents luckily just got used to that.
Yeah.
And encouraged it. But yeah, I think that's a huge part of me of just like always asking the next question, why, or like, why can't this work better? Let me figure this out,
Mhm.
or let me come up with this more efficient way. And then
Yeah.
I'm sometimes off in my own little world that way.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Do you like brain teasers?
I used to love them. Like I would do that for fun. I
Yeah,
haven't done them in a long time, but
yeah,
I used to do those for fun.
okay.
Or like logic puzzles.
Yeah, yeah, logic puzzles are my absolute favorite. I probably could rattle off like 15 to 20 like different like logic puzzles, but
Do you remember the ones where it was like written down and they're like X's and O's and like you would have a couple sentences and then you'd have to like figure out like sometimes it was like, oh, who murdered who? Or it'd be like you'd have to like combine of like, oh, this person was wearing this color and did this activity and it's based on um like elimination and
I don't. I
they're
like
really fun.
it reminds me of the one where like you have a chicken, a farm. I'm gonna so butcher this, but it's something like a chicken, a farmer, and a fox are wanting to cross a river, and you have a canoe, and you can only take one with you, and you've got to get them across the river somehow. But if you leave the fox and the chicken together, they'll eat each other or something along those lines. So like I think there's a fourth. Let me know in the comments. I'm
You gotta
butchering this,
remember
but
this one.
um, anyway, kind of reminds me of that because it's what you were saying is just because it's kind of like this person, this thing, this
Yeah.
thing, and like all that. So, um, I was trying to think of one if I could just do it real quick, but I don't. I don't know that I want to spend time doing that. We got a lot to talk about. So, okay. How about talk to me about Disney?
I love Disney. I grew up like a lot of my family, we would all go to Disney and it just became a place I have family like all around the country and we would meet in Disney because it was just a very convenient place, right? Like people could fly in from wherever, and it just became that place where we'd reconnect, hang out, different groups of friends, different
Mhm.
groups of family, and just I think I have a lot of fond memories from that and with my parents, friends, and family, and so then I always wanted to work there,
Mhm.
and so I danced most of my life, and I had auditioned to dance there and be, like, a character to dance, but I was already in college, so, like, at that time, when you did these things, you were had to be in college to
Y
audition.
yeah.
And I realized that so I was already in college for engineering, and I knew I wanted to go to medical school, which is obviously a very long path. And you had to sign a contract at that time for at least like a 12-month period. So then I would have been totally offset from all my schooling.
Okay.
And so I decided not to because I was like, that seems like I already have all these other things going, like, long career trajectory ahead of me. So I still
Yeah.
wanted to do it. I still wanted to be a cast member at some point. And so I had just worked in the summer with as a college student. I worked in Magic Kingdom at the Emporium. And I was a merchantainer is the fancy name. I wore a
Okay.
Victorian costume and I got
Wow.
to work on Main Street and it was just really fun. I got to do it a couple summers and lived with some of my friends. We were all college students and I still love it. Some people I think would be like, "Oh, that would deter you away from it or ruin the magic," but we still go all the time, and it's now been really cool to see, like, taking now my cousins who have kids and, like, taking them and experience Disney with them for the first time or
Yeah.
taking, one of my nieces, like, for the first time, so I
Yeah.
still love it.
What is your favorite Disney movie?
Oh, that's such a hard question. Ah,
Hardest question of the podcast.
my gosh. I think ever since I was little, I would say Beauty and the Beast because
Okay.
I really liked Belle,
Mhm.
but oh, that's a really hard question as an adult. I don't know. Recently, I'll just tell you a recent one that I really have been loving is Zootopia, and the
Okay.
second one is great.
Okay. Yeah, I like the first one. I don't remember if I've seen the second one.
It, like, just came out a little bit
Oh,
streaming. It's
then
really
I
good.
haven't.
It's pretty funny.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. Yeah, the Zootopia is the one where they have the sloth scene,
Yes.
right? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great scene. It's like I see it every so often in my, like, feed of, like
Mhm.
it's just a clip that people, like, kinda replay or reuse, let's say. Um, yeah, growing up for me, Aladdin and Lion King
So good.
were my 2
So good.
favorites, and then in college, I realized Ariel from The Little Mermaid, she sings a song called "Part of Your World,"
Yeah.
and that is eerily similar to me being in a wheelchair.
Oh.
And so I did it was I suppose a comedy bit, where I would sing the song horribly, and I would be out of my wheelchair and standing, and I can't hardly stand, right? And so
While
I
you're
got
singing.
yeah, while I'm singing and, like, oh, man, like, I had people begging me to do the Little Mermaid dance back in college, and, like, it was one of those it was really funny because it was one of those where, like, all my friends who saw it or, like, if somebody who knew me saw it for the first time, they were dying laughing, but I've done it around, like, complete strangers, and they're just sitting back like, "Oh my
They're
god."
not sure what to do.
Like, they don't know if they should laugh or whatever, and, like, yeah, anyway, it's, definitely a core memory, so I guess Little Mermaid is now one of
I like
my
it.
favorite movies as well, oddly enough. Um, okay, is there anything from Disney that influence how you approach your work?
So that's yeah, it's such a great question. So it's crazy. I always say when people ask me, like, Disney is so good at training their cast and
Mm,
their cast members. And I think I had, like, several weeks of training just to be like, they call it on stage. So anytime you're in front of guests,
yeah,
you're on stage. And I think, it's like 2.5 weeks and all about customer service and talking to people and how you're gonna bring the magic.
mhm,
And that's, like, more training than I had than when I was working in a chemical engineering lab with very dangerous chemicals.
yeah,
Like, I had more training to work at Disney than with, like, really harmful chemicals.
yeah,
And it just goes to show, like, how much care they put into it, and I definitely it just helps. It just I think it really helps just being able to, like, from obviously medicine, like, I'm talking to people through a lot of tough things sometimes and
Mhm.
maybe good things, maybe good news, but just trying to read their emotions and understanding where they're coming from. But then obviously, it's not always bringing magic, but it's really, I think it really helped me just understanding just like a different perspective of communicating with people.
Yeah.
And obviously, I communicate with people every day.
Yeah.
So I still like to think of it really helped of just pushing you outside maybe your comfort zone in that
Mhm.
way.
Forever ago, I saw this, I saw something somewhere, or maybe I heard it, I don't know, but, it was it was an experiment where, like, there's some, like, people who watched a doctor and a patient interaction muted, and they could tell if the doctor was a likable person just by that social interaction. Have you heard
I
anything
have.
like that?
I believe that. I they've done a lot of like different ones like that, even like certain language or how like where like they try to get people to interpret that.
Mhm.
And I think like that bedside manner is I tell this to my residents and medical students. I was like that can be practiced and learned and you can refine it and you can learn new skills.
Yeah.
But some of it so much is just like you and you putting yourself out there and being okay, like
Mhm.
being a little bit vulnerable with your patients or just being open and honest. I think it makes you more um, having that better um, rapport, but also them seeing you as a human too. And I think
Yeah.
you can connect much better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, you know, being in the like, having these head issues, I've seen so many different medical professionals, and, like, there's definitely ones that, I like more than others. One that stuck out with me that I don't know if this is like a personable type of thing, but it's still like I'll probably remember this doctor forever. What's the hormone doctor called? I
An
can Yes,
endocrinologist.
thank you. I can never remember that name, but I saw an endocrinologist, and after seeing a whole bunch of different doctors, and first thing he said to me was, "Explain to me why you think you're here." And I was like, oh, like, that's and I have spina bifida, right? And so, like, I've seen a ton of
Yeah.
doctors in my lifetime, and, like, that I've never had a question like that. It's like, well, it's pretty obvious usually why I'm here, but I guess an endocrinologist, it's a
Yeah.
little bit varied based on I don't know, but it was an interesting
That
question.
is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, if I'm not 100% sure maybe why someone's coming to see me or if it was a referral and I couldn't follow the paper trail,
Yeah.
I'm always just like, "Oh, like, what can I help you with today? Like, what's going
Yeah,
on?"
yeah,
That's how I
yeah.
start.
Yeah,
I'm like, "I need to" but I would never say, "Why do you think you're here to be?"
right.
Well,
Well, I guess context matters too, because, like, if I was at, like, Milo Clinic, which is like a clinic where a bunch of people with spina bifida go to see a whole bunch of doctors.
right.
Um, like, if a doctor was like, "Why do you think you're here?" It's like, "'Cause I have spina bifida, you idiot." Like,
Right.
so I guess in some scenarios, it makes sense. In that one, it did, because he wanted to make sure that I could
You
articulate,
understand. Yeah.
what why and all that, instead of saying, "I don't know, like, they told me to come here," right? Like,
Which you get those responses
yeah,
sometimes. So, yeah, so that part of that's just making sure you're following along, especially when it's so complicated.
yeah, yeah.
For sure.
Okay, let's fast forward to biomedical engineering. So you did that for undergrad.
Mhm.
Can you explain why you chose that path? Was there other paths you were choosing?
So, I always so none of my family's, doctors or anything,
Oh,
and ever since I was little, obviously, I told you guys I was, like, building things and having quite the imagination, but I always remember always wanting to be a doctor. Like, no one ever told me, "You're gonna be a doctor." It just was something I just always decided.
ah,
And, so that was, like, what I had been planning since I was very little. Like, I was always playing doctor, I was always fixing up my stuffed animals and things like that.
really?
So then as I was getting in, middle school and high school, my dad's actually an engineer.
Ah,
Um,
mine too.
Very good. So I was just meeting a lot of different engineers and talking, and I remember I really loved science, loved building things, and a bunch of people, my dad, family, friends, and, like, teachers were like, "You should be an engineer. Like,
Yeah.
you think like an engineer, like, you should be an engineer."
Ah,
And I finally, I even went to, like, engineering camps and
Cool.
really cool stuff, I know.
Nerd.
Yeah, it was so cool. But I remember meeting actually a biomedical engineer, and they were talking to me about how, engineers and doctors work together a lot to build devices, but they don't speak the same language, and how
Yeah.
frustrating that can be because they don't understand each other.
Ah.
And I remember having kind of like deciding at that point, I was like, "Oh, like, I'll just do both. I'll
Ah.
speak both languages, and I'll bridge the gap," which is hilarious because I always used to say, "I'll bridge the gap," ever since I was in high school, and then, like, now look to where we are
Yeah.
with the bridge. So, that was my thought process. That's why I went into biomedical engineering, because I knew I wanted to do some sort of medical device work,
Okay.
and I was like, "I'll be able to speak both languages," and
Mm.
did that with all the plan of still going to medical school.
Mhm. Did you design anything while you were in school or
Um Engineering, you have to do, like, your capstone, like, senior design projects, but then, while I was in medical school, I was still actually working as an engineer, and one of my first projects that I built was an adaptive sports project. But
nice.
at that point, I had no idea I wanted to go into adaptive sports, so it kind of all, like, starts to fit, and, yeah, so I was working with a person, who wanted to snowboard again, and he had, a triple amputee, he's a triple amputee, and so we
Okay.
were developing this really cool device for him to snowboard again,
Oh.
and loved working from the clinical side, but loved working in the engineering, collaborating with the other engineers.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the start of some medical device work in medical school.
Cool. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit more, but just recently you sent one of your students to me. Can you talk about that briefly?
Yes, so I sent a medical student to you.
Yeah.
And so we're really fortunate. So I'm one of the co-director of the biomedical engineering. We have a medical device program.
Mm-hmm.
And this coming fall, we are doing an elective for some of the medical students, and they can work with me and my co professor to kind of understand the medical device process,
Mm-hmm.
right? From concept, from idea, from talking with people, figuring out what's needed, and then going through how do we draw a concept? How do we do prototypes? How do we do testing? And eventually getting up the whole FDA process. And so some of our medical students, we allow them to do it between like their first and second year,
Mm-hmm.
and then this fall will be fourth years.
Cool.
And so this is still new. We're still kind of rolling it out. It's been in um, about 2 years now. And so you had one of our medical students, and we asked them to pick something that they feel that they're interested in, passionate about, or even maybe something that not an expert, but something they're familiar with. And a
Yeah.
lot of times it's sports. And so then we then challenge them to now do something um, a little bit outside their comfort zone. And so
Yeah.
they were interested in pickleball and tennis. And
Mm-hmm.
then we were like, perfect. There's going to be a need in with Cincinnati wheelchair tennis. And so that's how we got connected to you.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So I wanted to ask the reason why I wanted you to explain that from your college project to now with your students. What kind of uh, one of the thoughts that I'm having is like a lot of the things that are needed for adaptive sports are quite expensive,
Mm.
right? And so like what kind of funding did you have then? And like what kind of funding is there for your students now?
That depends.
Okay.
Some of the projects I'd worked on in the past had like private funding, whether it was from companies or grants or things, and it
Okay.
was more for maybe an individualized athlete at the time and had gotten that type of like sponsorship or funding.
Mhm.
Um, with some of our students, it depends on like which type of class they're in.
Yeah.
So the more like the capstone courses for our engineering, like our fifth year engineering students, they have a set budget, and it also depends. We can get some offset from other sponsors donated. So sometimes they have around, it could be anywhere from like 500 to $1,000
Okay.
per budget. And it depends. Again, if we get sponsorship and things like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then some of it is, again, not a budget. There's no budget for it. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of some of the pieces or, the 3D printers that we have access to. And so that's more from like just a general budget
Mhm.
standpoint. It really depends, I guess, on how complex the projects are, if it's affiliated with a grant,
Yeah.
donor, sponsor, if if the bridge or some of our other nonprofit friends are paying for it, it really unfortunately depends.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Um, did you ever a project that I worked on? I like engineering. I never went into it, but I have an engineering brain myself. But did you ever do the egg drop
Yes, yeah,
back in the day?
all the time. I feel like they do that all the time.
That was probably one of my favorite projects, and like we actually got extra credit if we did it with 12 sheets of paper and a meter of tape. And I did.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Do you
super fun.
remember how you did it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Are we gonna ruin this, like, project for other students?
No, I'd like to see you try this, students. No, I'm just kidding. It's pretty easily, I think duplicated. But I mean, so I guess the reason that popped up in my head just to run the trail real quick is we were talking about budget, and I think one of the challenges as an engineer is you have to do it with limited resources, no matter what, right?
Mhm.
And you've got to figure out how to get it within that budget.
Right.
So I think that's just par for the course for any engineer to be able to do it like that. And the meter of tape and 12 sheets of paper, I did a parachute,
Mm,
and what I did was I cut out like sh I cut out lengths of paper that were, like, I don't know, about that thick for the parachute string,
mhm,
and then I crafted, like, I think it was the square, like, almost, like, triangular shape at the bottom that my egg rested in,
mhm.
and then, like, I built, like, a whole bunch of, like, paper padding around that,
Nice.
and then I used, I don't know, how like, maybe 6 sheets of paper for the parachute itself,
That's
and
awesome.
dropped it, and we had to drop it off the bleachers of our football field, and, mine didn't crack, so, very, very proud of that experiment. Did you build one?
I don't think ours was paper. Some of the ones I remember, we had, like, spaghetti, like,
Mm,
uncooked spaghetti, and so then
interesting.
you could, like, make a crash zone for
Yeah,
it so that would crumble and not actually affect the egg. I remember that one.
yeah,
I don't remember, like, the 12 piece of paper or tape. Definitely we had, like, paper towel rolls, like, a lot of different varieties of
yeah,
things,
yeah, yeah.
for sure.
I remember one of the kids, and I can't remember if his egg broke. I don't think it did, but one of the kids just crumpled up a whole bunch of paper and just put like a whole like full sheets around that, and then put the egg in the center, and he literally like just threw it off the and it just went down, and I think he did it well enough that like it didn't crack the egg. So could be wrong, but anyway, try both ways if you're a student
I
trying
know.
this experiment,
We
and
gotta go to the
let us know. Yeah,
local schools where they're dropping them so we can
yeah,
be the judges.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, okay, so the next question, we kinda answered those questions. What's something engineering taught you that most physicians never learn?
It's interesting because I think in, like, medical school, I really struggled going from engineering to medical school because engineering for me was so much more like critical thinking in the sense of you have to solve the problem and you have to learn a lot of things and then you apply that to solving the problem.
Mhm.
And then you get thrown into medical school. The first 2 years of medical school are just a lot of memorization.
Yeah.
And I really struggle with that because it's like for me, I'm like trying to understand why, I'm trying to understand all these things and I can't memorize if I don't understand why I'm
Mhm.
memorizing it. And what was interesting is then when I finally got to the clinical years of, seeing the patient, trying to understand the problem, trying to problem solve and apply the knowledge to this problem, I finally was like, "Oh, yes, I get to use my engineering brain again."
Yeah.
And so I think it's like that type of thinking, and
Mhm.
I guess some engineers wouldn't consider, but, like, I consider a lot of engineering is thinking outside the box or
Yeah.
looking at a problem a different way. How can I solve this?
Yeah.
And I love doing that. And I think sometimes medicine for me can feel and some medicine needs to be, but I think very, like, algorithmic, where it's like I like algorithms, but I'm also always trying to think of, like, "But why isn't this working?" Or, like, "What else could be going on?" Or just I think I just think very differently,
Yeah.
and it's I attribute a lot of it to some of the engineering training for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you were talking about how just connecting those 2, bridging those
Yeah.
2 for, pun intended with, your organization. But, okay. I wanna ask a broader question about basically everything that we've been talking about. Does medicine sometimes solve symptoms while engineering solves causes, would you say?
I love that. I don't know if I necessarily thought of that. I think the way I approach medicine, like, for example, I didn't know I was gonna do clinical medicine.
Mhm.
Like, I actually thought I was gonna go to medical school, was gonna graduate, and I kept thinking I was actually gonna go back to be in industry as an engineer. And then I was like, I found the field of PM&R, and I kinda had this light bulb moment. I was like, "Oh, like, I can build adaptive equipment and devices." And so then I, chose to go to residency. And again, I was like, I'm just gonna go to residency. I'm gonna get a lot of experience clinically. And I was still thinking I was gonna go back to industry as an engineer. And it wasn't until sports medicine. I was in it during my first year residency, just as a rotation. And that was the first time that kind of clicked for me that I could understand like the physics,
Mm,
right? So it's like I'm seeing people with injuries from the sport they played or their biomechanics were wrong. And for me, it just was like I could just see the physics and I could understand the injury. And so then that's kind of what led me actually to sports medicine.
yeah.
And that's how I tell my patients all the time is like I can certainly inject and I can certainly help treat the pain and I can certainly get rid of the symptom, but like what's going to help in the long term is we have to understand the cause.
Mm,
And I'm always looking back at like what is off with your biomechanics and
yeah.
what's going on. So if it's shoulder pain, I'm looking more from like again the physics. And I can't tell you how many times I'm drawing like physics diagrams, and my poor residents and medical students have to watch me do it. But that's how I literally approach things that way. It's like we've got to understand why, and maybe that is the engineering of me. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's how I approach pretty much everything.
Yeah. Do you think AI will replace human human care?
I definitely think it can help.
Mhm.
I don't think So maybe one day there's a robot that can do injections that I can do.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay for right now.
Yeah.
I do a lot of, like, hands-on procedurals, so I'm a
Sure.
proceduralist. So luckily, I don't think the robots can do that for me.
Yeah.
So I'm okay right now. Um, but I think it's I think a lot of yeah, I think it's wonderful to use to help us and to gain insight, to analyze situations.
Mhm.
But I think something like the cool thing to think about is, like, at least I don't think while I'm alive. Like, I don't think the AI is gonna have, like, the emotional connection or me being able to, like, truly explain to someone what's going on and, like, reading their emotion and responding to their emotion.
Yeah.
So I think I still have that on the robots,
Mm,
but we'll see.
yeah, right. I, I I I I think I don't know if anybody else feels like that or you do, but it feels like this, but, like, anytime, like, I hear a robot voice, like, when I'm scrolling through, like, and watching shorts, it's like, "Is this AI?" And then, like, sometimes I'll get to the end and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that was so AI. That is I can't believe I watched that." But, like, there are certain things that, like, look like real life that I'm like, I just I don't want AI,
Yeah,
you know, and I think that's similar to what you were saying. Like, I've been through like a fast food drive-through, right? And they have an AI voice, and it's
yeah,
like I don't want to talk to an AI voice, even if it completely understands what I'm saying.
right.
I don't want that. So
Like, I think it would be really hard to imagine. I mean, I've been a patient, and most people probably listening have been a patient, but could you imagine you have this injury.
yeah,
Maybe it's just I don't know, an elbow injury. I saw your elbow, so I made it up.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
could you imagine, like, you get an MRI and then when you're worried or you're concerned or you're having pain and then it's an AI voice that's talking to you and then, like
Says I'm sorry to hear about that,
right.
and it's like, no, you're not.
or, like, they can't read that your face is getting more, sad or more
Oh,
concerned, and
yeah,
then they don't redirect the conversation or
yeah,
adjust what their agenda is based on your, like, interaction. I think that would be
right.
really hard.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think I think as you kinda alluded to is AI will help,
Yeah.
but I don't think it'll take over, at least maybe not in our lifetime. I don't know, but it's accelerating quick, so I don't know. Um, okay, let's talk about sports med. So you went through biomedical engineering, and then you started your
And medical school.
medical school journey.
Yep.
And so I don't know how that journey works. So talk to me. So medical school is like I assume it's just a generic maybe couple years of like everybody learns the same thing and then you branch off or
So obviously you do your undergrad degree. Medical school is 4 years.
mhm,
Some programs, if you get other degrees, and there can be longer, but I would say the vast majority medical school is 4 years. The first 2 years are a lot of, memorizing lectures. It's
yeah,
more like the in-depth, like, textbook learning because you have to take your first board exams at the end of, like, your 1st and 2nd year.
mhm,
And then your 3rd and 4th year of medical school are your clinical rotations. So, getting out of the classroom and you're doing the rotations. And so there's, like, across the country, there's set number of rotations that you have to do during your 3rd year, and they
mhm,
call them, like, your core rotations or your, you know, uh, I think core. I think that's probably the good word. But it's like the very, core specialties. So it's surgery, family medicine, internal medicine, pediatrics, OB-GYN, I think psychology, neurology. I'm definitely probably missing something, so I'm so sorry, everyone. But the idea is like you get exposure and this is required. You have to do these. And so then 3rd year, you're trying to help, hopefully validate what you think you want to do, like what specialty you want, because you're starting to
yeah,
explore your first, second year. There's interest groups, there's clubs, there's shadowing. You want to start to get an idea of like what you like. But 3rd year, for me, I didn't know until I was in 3rd year, actually.
yeah,
You're trying to find your people, you're trying to find your specialty, you're trying to find your patient population that you like. And then your 4th year, you're doing more electives.
mm,
You're really honing in on your what you want to do because that's when you're applying and like interviewing for residency during your 4th year.
okay,
And so then you definitely have to know what you want to do.
yeah,
So then you match at the end of your 4th year to residency,
yeah,
and then residency, depending on what specialty you choose, can be any length of time. The shortest is 3 years long. Um, I think the longest residency is probably around 7 years long,
mhm,
and then after residency, you can choose to do a fellowship, which I did. So, my residency was 4 years long. So, it's 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school, 4 years of residency, and then I only did a 1-year fellowship after that.
okay.
So, it can be crazy different pattern, but it can be really long.
So you graduate. What what happens after that?
So when you graduate medical school, you're officially a doctor,
Mhm,
and then residency, you're learning your specialty, fellowship is subspecialty,
yeah.
and then you're finally an attending physician.
So I'm more asking what did you
What
do
did I do?
after you got your doctorate?
So then I matched, here in Cincinnati to the University of Cincinnati into physical medicine rehabilitation, so residency.
Okay.
And then during my intern year, so your 1st year, you're all called interns,
Yeah.
um, that's when I found the field of sports medicine and decided that's what I kinda wanted to start focusing on. So
Okay.
while you're in residency, you're learning all about your field and tons of rotations, tons of hours, crazy hours,
Right.
on call a lot, and you're learning and preparing, obviously, to take care of patients on your own one day,
Mhm.
also preparing for board exams, as you would imagine.
Yeah.
And then I was also um, working to get ready to apply to sports medicine fellowship. And then while I was in residency was when I helped start the bridge. So
Oh,
that's when I started meeting everyone. I had already kind of had that light bulb moment of like, "Oh, I like sports medicine.
Yeah.
I like engineering." I'd already worked on adaptive sports projects, and I was like, "Oh, like, this kind of all fits." And I was starting to do adaptive sports projects here in Cincinnati.
Interesting.
Um, Started getting connecting with some of the engineers here and started meeting everyone, um, who was also doing adaptive sports. We were all kinda doing our own different thing and, like, different little niches.
Uh-huh.
And, I was like, "Hey, we should all probably meet together and put our heads together," and
Yeah.
that's how the bridge started.
That's awesome. You're
Yeah.
jumping the gun. No, I'm just
I'm
kidding. I'm
sorry.
just kidding.
That is what I did, though,
Yeah, yeah.
in
No,
residency.
that's awesome. Quick question. You said you have a husband, you're married.
Yes.
When did you meet him?
Yeah, so we met in medical school,
Okay.
and so
Here or in
we
Pencil?
went to Penn State for
Okay.
medical school.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so he's from Philadelphia area, I'm from Pittsburgh, and we met in the middle, which is Penn State Medical School is kinda in the middle. It's in
Okay.
Hershey, Pennsylvania. And then they do this when you, um, are applying to residency out of medical school, they do this thing if you can choose to do something called a couples match. And so we were, engaged, knew we were, going to be together and decided couples match. And the crazy thing is, when you're applying to residencies, you apply throughout the whole country. That's
Uh,
just what everyone does pretty much. And you apply to all these programs and hope that they want to interview you. And then and you, do this whole thing where you rank the programs and the programs rank the applicants.
mhm.
And then on match day, you get an envelope of where you're going to move, is how it works. But then when you
Really?
couples match, it's even crazier because we were trying to theoretically be in the same city so we could live together.
Mhm.
Just a we're people.
Mhm.
They forget that we're people sometimes, right? And so then we had only been to Cincinnati once. Like, we had applied all these other cities because, like, of our chances of and there's only one that place that took both of us in Cincinnati was at UC, and, that's where we matched. We'd only been here once, and we were like, "Well, clearly this was meant to be." Like,
Wow.
and, yeah, so he, came out here. We were both residents together, and then he did fellowship in Louisville. So we were apart for a couple years. And then he came back, and all we're not even from here, and we've chosen to stay here in Cincinnati because of the bridge, actually, because I didn't want to give up on it. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And what kind of doctor is he?
so he did OB/GYN as residency, and then he did fellowship. So he's a urogynecology surgeon.
Oh, a
Yeah, gynecology.
urogynecology
Yep.
surgeon. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Um, okay, so then let's go back to your journey. Um, what w ho so what do you do with UC?
Um, So, with, like, the
Yeah, right?
so it's kinda confusing because like, you see health is
Mhm.
obviously all the medical stuff, and so that's
Yeah.
where I have my clinics and normal business hours.
Mhm.
I am a doctor. And then there's UC College of Engineering,
Yep.
so I'm in biomedical engineering, and then UC athletics.
Mhm.
And so there's a whole team of doctors who are all sports medicine doctors, whether, people like myself or surgeons,
Yeah.
and we all take care of the athletes at UC. And
Mhm.
so it's been really awesome working with all the teams there and feeling a part of the team. And whether it's with the athletic trainers and the physical therapists and the sports nutritionists and psychologists and strength training and this whole team of people. And it's just really amazing to get to see the college athletes hone in on their sport, also grow up, get
Yeah.
degrees, and just be a part of that whole process. And so that's been a really amazing opportunity.
Mhm.
And then that is what helped lead to UC Adaptive Athletics too.
Nice. Okay, so within the UC network, you're with all the sports teams or most of the sports
Mhm.
teams. You do you do your physician doctor stuff
Yeah.
if I could say that. And then you also do things with the adaptive sports program as well.
Hmm.
Is did I
I guess
did I sum that?
engineering technically,
Oh,
but
and then you're a professor,
yeah.
and is that what you would say your title is professor at UC or
It's tech yeah, there's a whole ranking system, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's like, associate professor.
Okay.
There's a whole ranking system, but
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Cool. And how many classes do you teach at UC?
Yeah, so it's a little different with engineering. So I don't like teach in the sense of like I stand up and give lectures for
Yeah.
the engineering students. I teach just the capstone course.
Mhm.
And so it's like the graduating class. So it typically takes them 5 years.
Okay.
So it's the fifth year seniors, and the capstone course is like the fall and spring semester.
Okay.
And that's when they're groups of like 3 or 4 people and they're building a medical device from start to a couple of prototypes down the line.
Cool.
And so that's what I teach. Again,
Mhm.
it's not a very traditional like lecture course. It's literally like I'm walking around meeting with each group as a consultant and helping them go through the whole design process, answering questions, giving them ideas,
Yeah.
helping them kind of go through that process.
Christy Heinrich, also she teaches at Mount St. Joe.
Yeah.
She does an adaptive elective for PT students. And it's interesting how many, I guess, how many classes I've heard of that aren't like traditional classes. Like one of her things was like, yeah, she wants to teach adaptive sports, but she had like she's had a whole host of guests out to just talk to her students about different adaptive sports, whatever their specialty is, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. um I lost my spot somehow. So walk me through covering like a UC game. Like what kind of stuff do you do?
Yeah, so it obviously depends on the sport. Sometimes for some of the bigger games, there's a much larger team of
Mhm.
us covering. But for example, I'm women's basketball game. They have their whole staff with athletic training students, assistants, and then it's typically myself as the physician,
Mhm.
or some of we'll like help split up the games for one of the other team doctors. So when I get to cover, I'm there early, checking in with the team, making sure they don't need anything before, and then I'm sitting, like, right behind the bench. So, obviously, you need to be able to see the game, you will see the court, you need to be able to see what's going on, and then, I have great communication with our athletic trainer, there, and so if they need me, we have hand signals, we have different ways to communicate, and so if I need to go on the court or not, or if I need to, like, meet them back in the tunnel or meet them back out in the athletic training room to evaluate further or do something more complicated. But then we also have EMS on property, right on site, if
Mhm.
anything much more dangerous needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And so, I think a lot of people see sports medicine care teams, on TV or national settings, but so much goes into us practicing situations, making sure we're ready for any sort of emergency or any sort of thing that we can't, we want to be ready for the unknown,
Mhm.
which is so hard to do, but a lot of it goes into us all knowing each other really well, communicating, and then we definitely practice. We practice a lot,
Cool.
just to be ready.
You practice
Mhm.
that's kind of like a I don't know what the word is, but it's funny that
It is
you know
weird. It sounds
you're
weird.
at a game and they practice and you're
We
also
practice
practicing.
before the
Yeah,
games, and
yeah, yeah.
in the beginning of the season, it's just, so important to know emergency action plans and
Mhm.
what person's gonna do what and where things are, where equipment is,
Yeah,
and it's just a huge part I don't think you really would know until you're in that sports medicine profession,
yeah.
and it's just, it's a whole behind the scenes. I love doing the behind the scenes stuff, things that you would never think of to make sure everyone's
Mhm.
safe as they can be.
Have you been a part of anything crazy?
Yes.
Can you talk about it or?
Probably not.
Okay, that's okay. I don't wanna I don't wanna make you violate HIPAA like that, but, is there anything crazy that you've seen that you are able to talk about that, or maybe a better question, what's can you tell me about a patient that, like, still sticks with you in your head?
I feel like that's really hard because I think a lot of times, maybe when you're meeting a doctor or you're it might seem like really brief and maybe you won't think about it again, but there's a lot of times where like I can still remember someone's facial expression or I can
Huh.
remember their fear when
Mhm.
something happened or like a really bad injury on the field. Like I can remember exactly what they said to me or how we handled it or what they were feeling. And I think a lot of times people might black that out, right?
Mhm.
Rightfully so.
Mhm.
But like we're also understanding what's going on and trying to calm you down, make sure you're safe. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's something crazy, right? We all see those things on videos. We see the NFL team doctors running out. We see, Olympic, Paralympic team doctors running out, and you're just, trying to figure out what's going on. But like we're also, I feel like we remember and I think maybe, oh,
Yeah.
you think, oh, it's just a job. You don't. I was like, I think a lot of us take it and carry it with us for a very long time, for
Yeah.
sure.
What, that kinda makes me wonder, what kinda things make, like, a really good patient? Like, even if a patient is, like, you have to break bad news to them or something like that, like, what are those patients that you're like, "Man, that was a great interaction," or, like, "That person's awesome," or whatever else?
I mean, I think anytime you can, like, connect, like,
Mhm.
personally is really fun,
Yeah.
because then I think it's like again, it's like remembering that I'm not just a robot telling you bad news or good news or whatever the situation.
Yeah.
I think for me too, like, just remember, like, we really are trying to help. Like, like, even if I'm giving you a procedure and it hurts, like, my intention in the morning was not to cause you pain, I promise, like,
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I think everyone gets frustrated, everyone has a bad day, but, like, it's really hard when patients are just, like, upset or
Mm.
yelling, and normally it's never at me, but it's, like, at the situation, but
Mhm.
then it's, like, hard because it's, like, hard for me to separate that because I,
Yeah.
like, take on that emotion of, like, "Oh, man, I just got yelled at."
Yeah.
And it's like, "I promise I really was just trying to help," or like, "I promise, like, I'm trying to talk to insurance for you. It's not it's not my fault."
Yeah.
And so I think it's just, like, remembering that, like, we're human too.
Mhm.
We're like, we really our intention was to help you. That was our goal in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to work in retail and, you'd have customers come in and just start yelling at you
Yeah.
or whatever else, and it's like, one of the things I don't think you could do this, but one of the things that I would do to de-escalate is like, listen, like you're yelling at the person that's trying to help you. Like
Right.
I want to help you, and I didn't. Yes, the company might have caused you this problem, but like it wasn't me.
Right.
Like unless it was, and then I'm apologizing, right? But
Right.
yeah, it is interesting how many different human reactions you get in different situations, and all that. Um, yeah, okay. I was gonna possibly bring something else up. It's not related, but okay. What's the biggest? What would you say the biggest misconception people have about, or one of them, people have about treating high level athletes?
Hmm. I think I guess it's all like you don't quite know or see all the behind the scenes work. I mean, because even if you think about like, you know, athletes are posting on social media and you get to see their life and maybe they're like letting you in on their life and you get to see that on social media, but you're not seeing the hours that they're spending outside of practice rehabbing,
Yeah.
right? You're not seeing them push through a really hard practice or game
Hmm.
and then like afterwards like we're helping put them back together,
Yeah.
right? Like we're getting the MRIs of them, we're doing ultrasounds on them, we're trying to figure out why they're having pain or oh my gosh, now you got to do this in your rehab and add this in and I think it's really amazing to be part of that team
Hmm.
and they're driven and they want to succeed and they want to do well, but I think so much of like you're not getting like that peek into all this behind the scenes work and
Hmm.
whether it's from the whole team that's supporting them of clinicians and caretakers and staff and trainers and strength training and athletic training and PTs, so many people, right, who are just pouring into this athlete to try
Yeah.
to make them the best they can, and then they're also giving so much of themselves. I
Mhm.
just don't think you get to see it,
Yeah.
and I think it's amazing that I get to see it and get to be a small part, but I think that's what makes it so cool to then see them succeed and see their team win and see them do really well
Yeah.
and overcome maybe a pain or overcome an injury and then get to see like, "Oh my god, doc, like I made it. I got to play." Like
Mhm.
it's I think that's you don't get to see that on social media or on prime time or whatever.
Yeah. Do you, are you how does it work when an athlete is injured and they're basically not supposed to play? Like, do you play a role in saying, "No, we gotta wait 2 more weeks," or how does that work?
Yeah, it's normally a regardless if it's my high school athletes, college athletes, um, some of our like professional athletes, like whatever level you're at, it's typically a whole team. So like the
Okay.
athletic trainers know the athletes really, really well.
Mhm.
And then obviously, you might have a strength and conditioning coach, you might have mental health clinicians. There's a lot of different people that are working with the athlete. If it's something again, it depends, but unfortunately, the medical team at the certain point has that authority and has that power to be like, you are not cleared to play
They do?
until X, Y,
Okay.
Z,
Yeah.
or you're going to be doing this. And like, as for example, if you had surgery on your leg
Mhm.
and the recovery is not going to be for this date, like you are not cleared.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so sometimes it has to be that,
Mhm.
like, here's the line, here's the date. It's part of the whole medical team to decide that.
Mm.
And so sometimes though, if it's something not as like strict cutoff, it could be like, you're going to work with your physical therapist, you're going to work with your rehab team and your athletic trainer. And, as you're progressing every day and as you're adding more back into your training, then we're going to see if we can get you back into practice, back in the game.
Mm.
And it can be a little bit more um, listening to their body, listening to how they're healing. And it doesn't have to be as like set in stone
Yeah.
for sure. It just depends on the injury.
How often do, like, the player sentiment of wanting to play and your team's guidance of, "No, you gotta wait." How often do those, like, collide?
A lot.
They do? Okay.
And I think it's really cool because as the medical providers, we also get to they trust us. And like, yes, they want to play. Yes, they want to play the season. They want their team to do really well this season. But then I sometimes have to take that step back for them and say, yes, but we have to think about this for your whole life.
Yeah.
Like, concussions, right? Like
Mhm.
you have one brain for your whole life.
Mhm.
And I will say that, right? Like whether the injury is a concussion, whether the injury is something else, but like, I get to be that kind of sounding board and trying to give that logic of like, I'm not thinking about just this game,
Yeah.
just this season. I'm thinking about you when you're 45.
Right.
Like, how can we prevent problems down the road? And
Right.
then once I put it in perspective, everyone's like, oh,
Okay.
that makes sense. Like, because like sometimes, sure, it seems like I'm probably the bearer of bad news, but
Right.
or obviously our team, we all have to have those conversations probably weekly, with whatever sport, whatever level. But it's kind of that nice. A lot of it, I think, is just because we're getting to know them and we've built that trust and we are part of the team, and so they can actually they're not just going to blow us off and
Yeah.
be like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
not going to listen to them.
Okay. That's great that, like, maybe they have resistance at first, but, sounds like you get them to your side
Yeah,
eventually,
eventually, yeah.
but not always
Right.
based on your reaction.
But unfortunately, the athletic trainers also know them really well and can help,
Mm,
and if they're not cleared, they're not cleared, so they can't do something.
mhm.
That's the other thing.
What is one lesson everyday people could steal from elite athletes without being an elite athlete?
I think it's just that kinda what I was saying, like, the dedication
Yeah.
of, like, even if something's gonna take a little bit longer, even if you have to put in, that extra 20 minutes to do this activity. And I think that's, I think that's something to take away is like, yes, maybe this extra 20 minutes is annoying right now, but it's going to pay off in a week.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that I have to try to convince, myself, everyone. We're all humans, right? It's like, oh shoot, I don't want to do this right now, but it's going to pay off later. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, do I really want to go exercise myself right now? It's like, but it will pay off later. And I think
Yeah.
just like trying to get that mindset is it can be applied to a lot of a
Mhm.
lot of things.
Yeah, yeah. Two fun questions. You can guarantee one adaptive sport becomes mainstream. Which one?
Hmm. If I had magic powers, let's see. I feel like I'm a little biased, but I really love racing. I love wheelchair
Okay.
racing.
Okay.
I think it's really fun. I think people could get on board with like, just like you get with any sport that's racing, like you can
Yeah.
get on board with like cheering for someone to beat the other person.
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're about to do wheelie bad jokes, and I just thought of a really good wheelie bad joke that I wasn't even planning, but it's one of my favorites. But okay, so wait, the next question is you can instantly solve one problem in healthcare. What is it?
Oh, I would think more more opportunities for patients to see primary care doctors for preventative healthcare maintenance. So trying to get that right to like the visits, you can get to see them. So more funding basically for people. So more primary care physicians can be trained and more positions are available to hire them because we need more access to primary care
Yeah.
to help with preventative medicine instead of reactionary.
Yeah.
Having those, every 6-month visits, trying to get ahead of things, trying to talk about diet and exercise and trying to make sure you're managing your stress and you're managing all your comorbidities or concerns for health care risks of, from a genetic standpoint. And
Mhm.
we just don't have that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Love that. Great answer. Okay, we're gonna get into wheelie bad jokes. And so here's how it works is I'm gonna tell you a joke. I want you to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10.
okay.
If you don't rate this one a 10, we can't be friends anymore. No, I'm kidding. I'm
Okay.
kidding.
Okay.
It won't hurt my feelings. It is one of my favorite jokes, but bad jokes aren't for everyone.
All
So
right. I'm
I'm
ready.
okay with it. But then I have Logan Lyle's books. He basically has millions of followers, and all he does is tell dad jokes on a doc. Um,
Perfect.
I want you to open up to one of these pages, memorize the joke. They're not long.
You want me tested.
They're not long,
Okay.
but memorize the joke, then close it. You can close it down like this if you want to, so you can reference it if need be. But I want you to tell the joke without reading it, essentially.
Okay. Okay.
But you ready for my wheelie bad
I'm
joke first?
ready. Ready.
I am curious. This is going to be a tricky one to do while being close to the mic,
Okay.
but here's the joke. So I've got different wheelchair sports, and I want you to tell me what the wheelchair sports are. Okay,
Okay.
and there is a joke at the end.
Okay.
But okay, so here's the first one.
Wheelchair basketball.
Wheelchair basketball. Yep. Oh, I forgot the, you got to push your chair with the wheels. Okay, how about this one?
Wheelchair tennis.
Wheelchair tennis or pickleball,
Okay, pickleball.
whichever one you want. It doesn't matter. Okay. Here's the last one. It's okay. We're uh uh uh.
Is that racing with the helmet?
No,
What is it?
you're so close though. It's wheelchair hurdles.
That's pretty good. Okay, that's a 10.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I'll give it to you. I like it.
Yes, racing was, my first sport that I ever did,
Did you have to
in
go
a
under
wheelchair.
hurdles?
No, I didn't. I think it'd be pretty tricky to do with the wheels slanted.
Yeah,
I don't know that you'd actually be able to fit, but,
probably not.
you gotta test that out next time, you're on the track and and let me know. But, yeah, so, great, you got it.
I like it. I'll give it a 10. I like it.
Alright, your turn, you can
I
pick
gotta pick one.
either one of the books. Doesn't
Okay.
matter, they're
I just
just
have to randomly
Yep,
select.
yep, and you can read it. If you don't like it, then you can
Okay, I like this one. All right. All right. I would love to get paid to sleep
okay.
because that would be my dream job. That's pretty good.
That's a good one, yeah. That's,
There's a good picture with it though.
oh, there is?
Like, yeah.
Oh,
See, you gotta have the whole picture to, envisioning the sleep.
that's funny. Yeah, I love it. That's one of the guys that, like, Logan Lyle does jokes with, so, okay, I'd probably rate that like a 6 or 7, like, especially from, like, his books. It's not my favorite, but it's
Good.
not horrible, so,
My husband loves those types of jokes or, like, dad jokes,
yeah.
so much so that his, like, residents and, like, fellows got him, like, dad joke pencils, and he, like, was so excited to show me that they appreciate his jokes, and he said I'm like, "Roger," I was like, "Do they know that you're not actually a dad?" And they're like, "Yeah, they know, but I have my dad jokes." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "You're really just leaning into this." He's like, "Yeah, those are the best jokes."
Yeah, and I consider the wheelie bad jokes dad jokes, of course, and yeah, I love dad jokes as well, and I am not a dad, so,
Yep, he
um,
loves them.
okay, let me start this back up. Okay, so let's get into adaptive sports. So, what so for context that people might not know, you're able-bodied.
Mhm.
Why adaptive sports?
Yeah, I guess I've alluded to some of the story
Mhm.
as we've been talking, but, I knew as an engineer, I knew I wanted to go to medicine, vice versa, and I knew I wanted to build some sort of device, medical
Mhm.
devices, and I didn't like anything. It wasn't interesting to me to, like, build surgical devices. It wasn't interesting for me to build, like, endovascular or surgical tools, and I actually thought I was gonna quit medical school, several times
Uh,
because I didn't like didn't like medical school, and then I remember having this literal light bulb moment. I was networking and trying to find out what I wanted to do, and I met a PM&R doctor, and he specialized in spinal cord injury
real quick,
medicine,
PMNR?
physical medicine rehabilitation.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
No, you're
Yep,
good.
that's my type of medicine. So I met him. He specialized in spinal cord injury. And I was trying to describe to him, like, I'm just not finding my niche. I'm not finding like where I can build devices. And
Mhm,
I really want to like to have something tangible. Like, I don't want to just build something that's like implanted into someone. I was like, I want to be able to talk to the person and see what I can help them with and experience that too and like use their feedback. And
yeah.
he literally turned to me, he's like, "You need to do PM&R." He goes, "You can build adaptive equipment of
Mm,
all sorts,
mm,
whether it's like prosthetics, wheelchairs, assistive devices, or anything." And so that's when I like kind of changed the course of like, okay, I'm gonna stick out med school. I'm gonna do residency. And that's when I started doing like the adaptive sports for snowboards. And
mm,
so then I just started like realizing that I started doing some projects where I got to talk to the person and say, like, what do you want to do? What's hard to do? How can I fix this? Or what's not working for you? What's working? And it just started all falling into place
mhm,
where adaptive sports was this cool intersection for me. Like, I understood the physics of whatever sport they wanted to do.
mhm,
I understood what by talking to them and understanding what they can do and what they want to do. And it was just this cool problem solving
mhm,
that I just loved. And I could use the medical background, I could use the engineering background, I could use the understanding of the sports medicine and the sport and the equipment and all of this pieces of me.
mhm.
And I felt like I could give back. And it was a very unique way to use like my weird brain
Yeah,
to help people. And I just remember I just fell in love with it, and that's how I got into adaptive sports, and, when I was in Cincinnati here, yeah, just starting to help build things.
yeah.
I just loved it.
That's so cool. What out of all the adaptive sports equipment out there, What do you think is one of the coolest adaptive, sports equipment or even, like, adaptations? I mean, it's
Yeah.
anything in the adaptive sports world, like
Yeah. I think yeah, I mean, there's so many cool ones where it's, like, just individualized to one athlete,
yeah.
but I think where I really love and I always force my students to go this way is, like, I love the things that are adjustable
Mhm.
because, like, where I'm seeing it, it can be used by multiple people, and especially when people are still trying to find what sports they like, and
Yeah.
maybe they're not committed to like, "Oh, I'm going to purchase this thing that's gonna be perfect for me, perfect size for me, perfect everything."
Mhm.
And so I think some of the cooler ones, whereas I've seen, like, are the adjustable, like, standing ski
Mhm.
assistive, mainly because I helped build it, but a little biased. But, like, I think anything adjustable is really cool because then it's like, "Oh, I get to help, this person who's 5'9" use it."
Yeah.
And then maybe, like, 2 hours later,
Mhm.
I can let someone who's only 5 foot and use it. And I think I always really try to tell my students that that's so important because it helps with cost, it helps be, you know, more usable, more people can use it. It allows us to access more people to try the sport. And
Yeah.
so I really love that part too of like, let's just let this be available.
Yeah.
Let's just make it accessible for people instead of like these super elite racing chairs
Yeah.
that are like custom fit for one person only. And if someone even tries to sit in it, it feels horrible. And like,
Yeah.
so then that's not really like welcoming to,
Right.
for people who just want to try it.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. That it's a great thing for people who do wanna try it. Um, I wanna ask though, like, so you talk about, like, people that are in, like, so in the disabled world, for those out there, there's fixed and then there's adjustable, and you see that especially in wheelchairs. There's fixed wheelchairs that are to your dimensions, they're welded together, and then there's adjustable, and you can adjust, the height and a whole bunch of other things. So, what are the you mentioned starting or getting somebody into the sport. Why not continue that? Like, why not have the like person if they do want to get more competitive in it, continue in that in that adjustable device? And I have some
Yeah.
thoughts too, but
Yeah.
I wanted to see what your thoughts are.
I guess from what I've learned from everyone is, like as they're, once they've really they're committing, they're practicing, they're honing their skills, they're getting competitive. As you're getting into the sport, you want to have the equipment that's the lightest weight,
Mhm.
one with your body. A lot of the athletes, when I'm working with them, they view the piece of equipment as just part of their body.
Mm.
So you want it really form fitting. You want it custom to your dimensions, your size. Um, and then, like I said, like the material can be a lot lighter weight when it's fixed. So a lot of adjustability of equipment, unfortunately, can make it heavier. It can decrease some of the like mobility of the device itself.
Mhm.
And so when you're getting something super custom, it's, lighter weight, you're at that advantage. It also fits your body very specifically
Yeah.
and tailored to you as an athlete. And then when you're wanting to get in that competitive edge, when you're wanting to be on the team or maybe it's an individual sport and you want all the advantage that you can and you wanna be able to train with something the same all the time that's your piece. And so that's when I think of helping them get their very customized piece of equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. What one analogy I kinda just thought of was imagine just a pole, and you wanna be able to adjust that pole up and down. Well, if you wanna adjust the pole to half the length, you still have that huge pole that's the full length as well. So that adds weight, and then in order to get that pole to stay together, you have to have screws and those screws add weight and all that. So I think maybe that's a good visual for people as far as um, like the weight factor. You could have two times the weight that you really don't need in just a pole, for example, or 25% of the weight or whatever else. So it does add weight. I think the other thing that I'll add to is adjustable means falling apart
Mm.
faster.
Mhm.
And so like if you have something that is adjustable, those screws will eventually rust or break, or they just won't hold the same way or whatever else, and so it just the wear and tear on that over time just kind of breaks down faster than if two pieces were welded together. So
Yeah.
I think that's another big one. So cool. I think probably some of the cool designs that I've seen are like I guess actually let me ask you this. What do you think what's the word? The coolest sitted equipment is. So, like, whether that's like a racing chair, a tennis chair, basketball chair, sled hockey, even like,
Yeah, I was good. I feel like sled hockey, but even some of like the sit skis
yeah,
are really cool because of how it is truly when it's custom made, it's truly molded and fitted around your like the athlete's body.
yeah,
And I mean, I've been in them. Obviously, not perfectly molded to me, but I can only imagine how that feels when it's just so custom to your body that it truly just feels as an extension. And I think
mhm,
those are the two that when I watch those athletes move, when I'm watching them glide in the ice or go down the hill, it just it's just their body. I don't even think the equipment's there. I think
yeah.
that's why I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think the sit skis where you're sitting on one ski or
Yeah.
sometimes two, and you have these outriggers that have skis at the end of them. Hockey is the same way, as you're sitting on two ice skates essentially, and they can be an inch apart from each other, and you're gliding along the ice and holding two sticks that one helps you propel and two you hit the puck with. So yeah, I think those are two that really fascinated me as as well. So, do you remember your first adaptive athlete or an athlete who changed how you viewed that's those sports?
I mean, I guess my first experience truly was the, snowboarder, and
Mm,
that was in medical school,
yeah.
where I got to understand the clinical, but then really the engineering was really fun for me to kinda blend the 2 together,
Mhm,
and I think that's where I actually learned because so much of it was my first experiencing, like, listening to him, and he knew what was gonna work
mm,
and what wasn't going to work, and being able to bounce, like, back and forth ideas, and I think, like, to this day, when I'm teaching my students, I'm always saying, like, "You could engineer, you could design the most perfect thing. It does the task, it does the sport or whatever." I was like, "But if you don't actually listen to the person using it,
mm,
and if you don't listen to what they need or listen what they like, what they don't like,
mhm.
that perfect thing is gonna be like a paperweight.
Yeah.
Like, no one's gonna use it, no one's gonna touch it, and I think, like,
Mm,
that's was a really cool thing that I still learned from, and I apply it, and it's like they know, my athletes, when I talk to them and they want something made or built or whatever, um, I'm there to help. I'm
yeah.
not the one leading the charge. I'm not the one, "This is what's gonna work, and this is what I'm building." It's like, "Oh, no."
Yeah.
I've gotta listen to what maybe they're not using the engineering term, but that's okay. That's for me to, interpret and
Mhm.
understand, but it's just, like, watching them move, listening to them, seeing what is gonna work for them,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I learned that then, and I think I still can remember all those interactions with that athlete, and, I've even talked to him recently, which is really cool, so
Yeah, awesome. Is there a world so when you were talking, I thought of the company Apple. One of the things that they did was they found I think they call them unknown needs or something like that. Like they found they designed the iPhone, for example,
mhm.
and like, it's not something that anybody really ever thought, "Oh, yeah, I would love to carry this around and do all this stuff with." They kinda designed it and knew that it was gonna be revolutionary for people, and, like, I don't know, I've heard, like, Apple employees talk about, like, how they talk about, like, tapping the phone and swiping and, the interface for how they do that, and, like, I don't know that you could really listen to a human say, "This is exactly what I need from my first touch phone," right? Like,
It's true.
something like that. So, like, I'm wondering if in the adaptive sports world, if something like that exists or if you've seen something like that, you know?
I'm sure it does.
Yeah,
I think I don't think I would ever be the right person to know because 'cause I'm not, using or playing the sports.
sure.
Um, I think that's where the athletes, I think, will be our biggest asset from that standpoint.
Yeah.
What's kinda interesting and the way I kinda think of it too is, adaptive sports, like, if you think of it truly as, like, the technology industry of adaptive sports, it's still so young.
It is.
It's so new, it's so young, and I feel like we don't even know, like we're, like, literally just scratching, like, the top of the iceberg,
Yeah.
and I think maybe as we start knowing more, I 100% could see athletes coming like, "Hey, invented this," and now everyone's like, "Oh, I need that."
Yeah.
Totally could see that happening, but, like, I always think of it as, like, like, we don't even know, like, what's the best, like, placement for the, a wheelchair basketball chair to prevent shoulder injury, like,
Mhm.
or to help decrease shoulder we don't even know that stuff yet
Yeah.
because it hasn't been researched and, the chairs or the equipment or what um, materials we're using hasn't even been, like, thoroughly, like, tested of, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, should we be using aluminum? Should we be using carbon fiber?" Like, yes, we know that, they study that, right, for everyday chairs, but they
Mhm.
don't have that information yet for adaptive sports equipment, and so I feel like the industry of adaptive sports is so young.
Yeah.
I could 100% seeing it going that way, though, like
Yeah.
that unmet need, like you said,
Mhm.
or the unknown need.
Yeah. Interesting, maybe history lesson, but wheelchair tennis, we're celebrating 50 years this year. Pretty cool. But the chair that I started playing tennis in has one wheel in the front,
Mhm.
and it's a caster wheel for those that don't know. It's like a rollerblade wheel, if you will, and it swivels. Well, everybody now plays with two wheels, two front wheels, and it's a it's an archaic chair. So the idea of it was it's less friction, so you're going to be able to move faster. Well, it turns out that two wheels helps you control the chair better. Two front wheels
Mhm.
helps you control the chair better than one front wheel. It's a little bit more chaotic, and as someone who's used both, it's such a game changer having two wheels versus just one center front wheel. And I don't necessarily know the physics behind that. I'm sure your brain's
I'm
thinking
trying to
like,
think.
yeah, this is why. But
Well, and then that's like was that just because the athletes experienced it and said like, "Oh, the 2 wheels, that definitely is better." I don't know the answer to this, but, like, or
yeah,
was it because, like, they did do research on it with the athletes and looking at the mechanics? Like,
I,
that's where I feel like we need to go.
yeah, yeah,
Like, that's how I view of, like, this there could be so many cool
yeah.
changes or advancements if it could be studied
Yeah.
just like other sports get studied, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't know exactly, but I would imagine it was player driven.
Right, right.
Remember borrowing a chair that had two front wheels, and because my tennis wheelchair had like it I don't know, the airport broke it or something like that. I don't know, but I wasn't able to use it, and so I used somebody else's chair who had two front wheels, and I ended up winning the match in a chair that I'm not familiar
Yeah.
with at all. It's like, and so I really, liked it, but also the other thing is, like, all the other sports, especially, like, wheelchair basketball, which was pretty popular when I was growing up, which I played as well, but, those sports have two front wheels, and chairs cost a lot of money,
Right.
and so I can imagine somebody who's a wheelchair basketball player has a wheelchair basketball chair going and playing tennis, and then maybe getting a tennis chair and being like, "I hate this," or I this is just not as good," or
Yeah,
whatever else, and
true.
then somebody set the trend. I have no idea what the history is. I'm actually kinda curious now. I'm surprised they don't know the answer to that, but, yeah, I know what I'm gonna be Googling, but once we're done here.
But that's, like, where I think it's so cool of all the potential, right? I
Mhm.
mean, think about, at least in my world from sports medicine, there's so many research, so many things looking at, I'm just gonna pick an example, like, a baseball pitcher.
Yeah.
So many ways to, like, research and optimizing, and how can we get this spin on the ball or this speed of, and all these things, right? There's so many so many papers, right? So many
Mhm.
research, and it's like, well, we should be doing that stuff for all of our sports,
Yeah.
and, like, maybe that will lead to, oh, like, we can figure out, like, we need to adjust the angle of this, the dump, or the angle of the wheels, or maybe we need to add this or change that, and
Mhm.
I hope that's where it's going. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah, and you look at, like, a lot of Europeans, they have completely different chairs. Like, they have buckets almost like, the buckets of, like, sled hockey, or even like a downhill ski.
Mhm.
They don't have your traditional, like, just frame. It's kinda like, it's rounded and molded to your seat a little bit
Yeah.
differently too, so, and I think they're carbon fiber. I could be completely wrong on that, but yeah, there's some very interesting, like, just how people are sitting. Like, there's one player who, like, his foot is faced backwards, and he's basically kneeling with one of his knees. Now that might be disability driven, right? He might not
Yeah,
have the flexibility or
right.
something like that. I don't know, but
That's kinda like some of the racing chairs, how you, like, are on your knees.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
maybe they raced before and now they want to sit like that for tennis.
Yeah, I don't know. It's his knee is, like, literally, like, down, so it's a little different because when you race, your knees are, like, up by
Oh, so
your
it's,
chest,
like,
right?
still
Yeah,
straight?
yeah,
Oh,
it's he's, like, kneeling. Yeah, it's very interesting.
maybe that gives them an edge, and we need to know why.
Yeah,
We need
yeah.
to just figure that out.
Well, I do think there is something to say. So one, he has good core, right? Because if you're kneeling, you don't have much dump,
Right.
or any dump. Somebody has good core that way. Sorry about the chair terms that you guys don't know. Google dump if you're curious what it is. I won't get into it on the podcast, um, but 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 yeah, I mean, there is something to say about, like, the centripetal force. The closer you are to your whole weight,
Mhm.
the closer you are to the center, the faster you'll turn, and all that. I mean, that's why you see a lot of double amputees that just are crazy fast, is because they can turn on a dime a lot faster because you don't have that centripetal force out here that's, like, weighing you down like your knees.
Right.
So, I think that's why, but again, I'm not an engineer, so,
I like it, though.
yeah. What surprised you most when you entered the adaptive world?
I think how everyone is just so excited to work together,
Mm, yes.
and I think, I, like you said, I'm able-bodied. I just started talking to people, and everyone just welcomed me with open arms, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, like, how can we all work together? How can you help us? Like, how can we teach you?
Yeah.
How can we, do this together?" And I think, even from, like, um, my experience, like, not just outside of Cincinnati too, it's like that everywhere, and it's like everyone's like, "Oh, let's, like, share ideas, let's share stories.
Mhm.
Like, oh, this worked for, our program in
Mhm.
Colorado, like, maybe that will work for you in Cincinnati," and it's not just about equipment, it's about, like, "Oh, how can we run this programming? How can we get these people involved? How can we get these athletes excited?" And just anything and everything. I think everyone's just like, "Here, we don't know the answer, but here's what we did."
Yeah, yeah,
And I love that. I think that's a great thing to, none of us are experts, we're all trying to figure this out, and we're all trying to learn from each other, and I
yeah.
think it makes it really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. So here's an interesting kind of side topic, but still related. I think with able-bodied people, there's oftentimes an elephant in the room. And the elephant, I think, is a combination of curiosity, not knowing, not being around a disabled person, and so they don't know how to treat them, I guess, or treat me, or even like, I don't know. One of the things that I'm huge and talk about frequently on the podcast are like how there's certain people, and it seems to be maybe able-bodied people who are hypersensitive to certain words in the disabled community.
Mhm.
Like you know, the politically correct term is individual with a disability now, and it's like I hate that word. It's a mouthful. And then like I've had some people on my podcast. They're disability advocates who say that you shouldn't use the word handicap, and I'm thinking like I don't care. Like you use whatever words you want, and then the elephant in the room. I also think comes from able-bodied people maybe are taught that they shouldn't ask certain questions, and and so they maybe got scolded by their parent as a kid when they're like, look at that disabled person or look at that wheelchair, whatever else. I don't know, but I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are. Like when you entered the adaptive world, were there any like I feel like just knowing who you are, you're probably gonna say no, but was there anything that you're like, oh, I gotta be careful about this, or like I'm not sure about this, and so I'm gonna stay away from it, or
Yeah, I guess I don't really I definitely don't stay away from
yeah,
things. I don't, I guess everyone's just always so nice and kind, and
hmm,
I think I mean, I guess I've definitely said this, uh, while we've been talking, but, like, I think I just approach everything with such, like, a curiosity,
yeah,
and it's like, "Oh, like, I really" like, I remember some of my friends were like, "Oh, this is a really cool chair, like, how'd you get this?" Or, like,
yeah.
"How" I just ask questions, and
Yours
it's
is different. And why is it different? Like,
or not even yeah, or just be like, "Oh, can you, like, show me how this works?" And I
yeah,
think it's always just, like I think people are willing to teach about themselves to other people, and I'm like, "Oh,
mhm,
can you, like, show me how" like, I remember when I first got introduced to, like, power chairs,
mm,
I didn't know how they worked, and I
yeah,
remember talking to a patient, I'm like, "Hey, like, I'm really I'm sorry, like, I don't know how, like, can you, like, teach me about this?" And everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, of course," like, and, like, they teach me and, like so I think it's, like, I don't ever think that I should know everything, and no one thinks I should know everything either,
yeah,
and so it's like, I'm
yeah,
always just like, "Hey, can you show me this? Can you teach me this?" And
yeah,
everyone is like, "Oh," like, so excited because I
yeah,
think people are afraid to ask or
mhm,
they just don't wanna acknowledge that, you know, maybe they have a chair or they don't wanna acknowledge this piece of equipment, and I'm like, "Oh, this is cool."
yeah,
Or like, I was up at um, the Move United, they had, like, their track and field, and I was,
mhm,
like, working it, and there were a lot of, younger athletes who maybe it was, like, their first experience, and they're nervous and stuff, and, like, I just would just start talking like, "Oh my gosh, I love the color of your chair, like, how'd you pick this?" And, like, it just immediately it's just like anything, right? Like,
yeah, yeah.
it's I like pink, let's talk about pink, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like, I think people are like, "Oh, yeah, like, this is normal, just talk about the color."
yeah. Do you think you're unique in that, or maybe not unique, but do you think you're a minority in that thought process?
Um I don't know. I always just I, like, taught, recently, like, our emergency medical like, I remember I told you we practice,
Mhm.
we did, like, emergency medical conference where we practiced scenarios,
Yeah.
and I, was teaching some of the medical professionals there about emergencies that could happen, for any of our athletes with spinal cord injuries,
Mhm.
and I remember, we were just I was just saying to them, I was like, you can it's just a person.
Mhm.
It's an athlete, it's just like any other athlete. If you don't know something, just ask them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big deal. You can ask them like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to learn.
Mhm.
Like, how can I help you transfer out of the chair?"
Mhm.
Or like, "How can I help you with this?" Or like, "Do you have sensation in your legs?" Like, if you're I just tell them, I was like, "They're just people."
Yeah.
Just ask them. Like,
Yeah.
just like anyone, you would ask them like, "Hey, I'm trying to help you.
Mhm.
This is what I'm a athletic trainer. I'm a doctor. I'm a student here.
Yeah.
You look injured. How can I help you?" It's
Yeah.
just simple.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess with all the students you have, I'm sure they have a bunch of questions, and they're like, I'm sure some are probably like timid, or like I'm like scared going into the maybe not scared is the right word, but I think you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah. I think they just don't know what to expect because I
hmm
think I take it for granted, but I think some people have never, like you even said, have maybe met someone
correct.
or talked to someone or friends with someone who
Mm-hmm.
maybe uses a I don't know, whatever, a piece of equipment. They've
Yeah.
never, and I think I guess I'm just literally thinking about this for the first time. Like I don't think about it
Yeah.
differently.
Right.
And so then I just talk about it to the students. And so
Yeah.
I think I try to put them at ease. And I'm like,
Right.
and normally I don't set them up with someone who's going to be like calling them on every terrible, like, how dare you point out my wheelchair is pink?
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously I know who like I'm helping them talk to,
Right.
but I normally am like, oh, they're excited to talk to you. Like they'll answer any of your questions. Like just use this as a chance to learn. Like be
Yes.
curious. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It's interesting. I do have a lot of like a lot of physical therapy students come out and watch practice, and all that. I'm like, Ask any question you want," and oftentimes they don't. And I know most of the time like what the pressing questions are, and like what most of my all of my players, nobody cares if you ask them what their disability is. Now, I will say that's not something that you should go up to somebody initially and say, "Hey, why are you disabled?" Or like that shouldn't be
right,
the
right.
the conversation starter, right? But most people are pretty comfortable talking about it. Well, I want to ask you something else. In working with adaptive athletes, and having able-bodied students, and all that, have you ever seen an able-bodied no, I'm sorry, a disabled person react negatively to a question an able-bodied person, or even a comment an able-bodied person has made?
I guess only in the sense of, um, I guess not negatively. I think I've seen it luckily, like I've seen it from the end of like maybe someone's coming to me
Mhm.
as a patient and I'm, the patient. They're coming to me to see as a doctor and they will tell me of like a horrible situation. Like I didn't witness it firsthand, but
Yeah.
I've had patients come to me and be like, "Oh, like I'm really glad we like found you or your care team because I was going to get physical therapy or something or getting care, anything
Yeah.
at this other place."
Mhm.
And they never tried to understand what I was like, they never tried to understand how maybe my physical therapy needs to be a little different than someone else's.
Uh,
Or they never tried to understand my sport, or they never tried to understand what I was experiencing.
ah,
And I think that always breaks my heart.
yeah.
And so it's like I'm not seeing it personally where they're upset, and I think sometimes they don't feel like they're comfortable, like, confronting that
Mhm.
able body caretaker.
Mm,
But then I've seen it a lot from the other end of, "Oh, thank goodness, like, you get it."
yeah.
Or like, "Oh, like, you guys are, like, trying to understand," or
Mm,
"You're asking me the questions about me instead of just assuming."
mm.
And so I see I see that a lot.
That's so fascinating. I totally agree, because I was gonna say I've never in my experience, at least that I can remember, I've never seen a disabled person react negatively to
Yeah.
an able-bodied person. But I will say one thing that have talked about on the podcast is, at this gym we do MMA, and we do like circuits, and a circuit is basically like you do 1 minute, you have 4 minute rounds, 1 minute per exercise, four exercises in a round, right?
Mhm.
And when I came in with my buddy who's also in a wheelchair, Matt, and w- we we instantly felt included, because they have these exercises that they do, and some of them you can't do as a person in a wheelchair. And so it's great, because as we're planning the circuit, they'll say, "Hey, Zach, this is what we do. how can we adapt this to you?
Mhm.
And like they're very like considerate of that, and it's kind of what you said. It's like, wow, that's awesome. It's never I've never been something, and maybe it's something where it's like it's never something I expect. So like, why would I get mad about it?
Mhm.
Kind of thing. And so it's like it's you know typical I guess able-bodied world is okay. They're gonna do their able-bodied things. I'm gonna do my wheelchair things, let's say, and we'll be divided, let's say, as a gym.
Yeah.
And you know that's one of the things that I loved about this gym is they really worked hard to try
Yeah.
to adapt those exercises so that I could do them as well. So yeah, that is interesting. It's I've heard a lot of people say, "Wow, that's awesome that this person did this," because it's not normal.
Yeah, it's like you would hope that that's just the norm,
Yeah.
but I guess it's not there yet.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I will say though, on the flip side, I've had able-bodied people do things that like they think they're doing it because or for me because of my wheelchair, and it's like I don't want that. And so I think that curiosity thing that you were thinking that you were saying earlier is really important. Like I've always said like don't assume.
Right.
Like it's kind of toxic to just assume like there's not a one size fits all for a person in a wheelchair, even though they're using the same thing to get around.
Mhm.
It's everybody's different. So anyway, anything else on this topic that you want to
No,
mention?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I like where we went with it.
Yeah, yeah, it was a fun conversation. Which did I ask you this? Is which adaptive sport is your favorite? You said racing,
You
but
said if I had yeah, to get it mainstream. I guess my favorite, hmm, I don't know. It's really geez, you really like these hard questions. It's like you're making me pick things.
I know, I know.
I
What
do, I
how
think
about what are some of your top
I think
adaptive
I
sports?
genuinely like team sports because I
Yeah,
like seeing how the team interacts with everyone.
okay.
So, like, I do like wheelchair basketball,
Mhm.
because I think it's fun to, like, watch the team, dynamics and then how they're, like, adjusting to play defense and offense, and they're getting to know the team they're playing.
Yeah.
I think that's really fun. So I definitely like that. And then I do like, I'm excited for wheelchair football as that's becoming bigger around
Okay.
the country, so that's pretty fun too.
Yeah.
But I've been, like, liking some of the ones that maybe aren't as mainstream of, like, cerebral palsy soccer
Yeah.
and power soccer because I think as people get to experience that, it's easy to, like, get hooked.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty simple of, like, whatever I can go watch, I'll watch,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, like you mentioned CP soccer 'cause one of the things in the tennis world, the adaptive tennis world, is I've done blind and visually impaired
yeah.
tennis, and like that group is like this is horrible, but I wanted to say it's an eye opener for them. That's such a bad. Uh,
It's a revelation?
yes,
How about that?
yeah, there you go. But yeah, so like I don't know that like I always like to ask like whenever I do groups, especially with volunteers, like what's the your favorite part about the day? And one of the kids said, and this is in blind and visually impaired. One of the kids said, "I did something today that I never thought I could do."
Yeah,
And
I do
it's
like
like
that.
it's those moments that are like, "Oh, yeah, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing," you know? And you do get that in the wheelchair space, right? But it's almost like it's more prevalent in the wheelchair space, so it's taken for I don't wanna say taken for granted more, but it's in a way it is, and then, like, the blind and visually impaired kids, they didn't even realize that it was a possibility, and
Right.
they're like, "Wow," like, they're just, like, so excited to do it, so, I'd imagine that's something CP soccer gives the kids too.
Oh. I think I've literally said that story of, like, I love when people are like, "I got to do something that I never thought I could do."
Yeah.
But my other favorite is when I see athletes get to try different sports
Mhm,
and see what they like, and
mhm.
then I love when someone comes up like, "Oh my gosh, I found my sport." Like, that's
Yes.
such I mean, you get to experience that too, like, I love that too,
Yeah.
of, like, they found their
Mm,
place or they found their home, and I think
yeah.
that's really cool too.
Yeah, that is. Um, what's improving in the adaptive sports space that gives you hope?
I think the amount of opportunities, I think, again, like, I obviously, history, I'm not a very good history person, but, I think, like you're saying, like, there's only so many that were mainstream,
Mhm.
but I think what I love seeing now is, like, "What do you wanna do? Sure, we're gonna make it happen." Or, like, "What do you want to do?" Like, "Oh, we can try to make something for it," and, like, it's amazing, right? Like someone maybe wants to do equestrian, maybe someone wants to do fishing. They want to do competitive fly fishing. Like, let's make something to help you if you only can maybe use your right hand. Like, let's make something.
Mm,
Let's get you out there. Let's get doing it. And I think that's what I like about it is like it's not just the couple sports that maybe you've seen on the Paralympics,
yeah.
but it's literally you wanna do it? Alright.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, we got some people doing different, like, types of adaptive skateboarding, we've got water skiing, like, we've got, like, anything if you wanna do it, like, let's find a way to do it,
Yeah.
and I think that's the spirit of adaptive sports, and I think that's just getting so much bigger.
Mhm.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah. I love that. Um, what what advice would you give someone listening who's always wanted to do adaptive sports? Um, I'm sorry, someone listening who wants to start an adaptive sports program. What would you tell them on how to do that?
I think it takes a village and
Yeah.
finding the right people.
Mm,
You want people that you all have the passion,
mhm.
like, you want someone to work with as a team because you really can't do it on your own.
Mhm.
You need that support system, but you need the people to lean on, have
Yeah.
ideas, and bounce ideas off each other, and who, like, truly are doing it to get those smiles, right? To see the athletes say, like, "This is my sport," or "I did something I never thought I could do," because I think that's what's gonna at least that's what helps me and keeps me going, right? Like, when you're
Yeah.
doing all the crazy paperwork and the strategic goals and missions and, and all this business work, it's like, those are the moments that are gonna get you there, and the people that you're doing it with are gonna get you there
Yeah.
and keep it going.
Mhm.
So I think it's really just finding your people to build it with is the most important.
Yeah. That's a great call. Like, don't do it alone. Find a community of people who want to help. I think that's one of the reasons. That's absolutely the reason why the bridge is so successful is because all of you guys are so passionate about adaptive sports and the disabled community, and like it's just cool to see it. Like I say this all the time. We're so lucky in Cincinnati to have the bridge and like all the different adaptive sports that Cincinnati has. So, um, yeah, and we all play nice. The
Yeah,
different organizations. Like I know there's some cities where they don't.
that's like a turf war.
Yeah, it's a turf war.
Yeah.
It's like don't steal my players, and it's like yeah, come on, like that's not what it's about.
Right.
Like
And I like you said, I think we all obviously the bridge, but then all of the organizations we all partner with, we all have like that passion and it's like all
yeah.
rooted in that the dream of like let's get as many people doing adaptive sports as possible. And so I think that's what fuels us all, which is amazing. I don't think that's probably what fuels everyone, but
Yeah,
for us, we've all found each other.
yeah. What do you think the top skills you wanna instill in adaptive athletes? What would you say they are? I have a number 1, and I'll tell you after your answer.
I think for me, it's actually, I don't know. Now I have a couple.
Yeah.
I would say like leadership
Mm,
because there's a lot of different types of leadership, and you can lead like yourself, your career, your passion, your sports career, but you can lead your teammates, and it doesn't mean you have to be the captain.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that, people hear leadership and they assume like, "Oh, I have to be the team captain, or I have to be the president of this club, or I have to be, this executive of a company." And I think we all are leaders and we all have very different roles on teams. And I think that that's something you can learn through sports, but I think it's something you can also refine and really hone in and apply to like every aspect of your life.
Mm,
And like, what better way to learn and
yeah.
get that like mentorship from maybe your coaches or maybe from like an older teammate. And I think just there's so many ways you can learn that in sports. And I think that just helps. I would hope everyone gets that out of
Yeah.
sports.
Yeah, that's a good one. I felt like you had a couple.
I do. I think even though we've talked about it a lot, I think it is like, honestly, as maybe as silly as it sounds, it is the curiosity,
Yeah.
right? Like, I would love all of my athletes, regardless what sport they play, is to have that curiosity. Like, how can I get better?
Mhm,
Ask those questions. How can the teammate better? How can this be more efficient? How can I make my, you know, shoulder motion more effective? Like, have that curiosity always, because I think that's always going to lead you to be better.
mm. Leadership and curiosity. My top answer, by the way, I don't think if someone asked me that question, I don't think I would have said either of those. But it's definitely those are definitely moved to the top of my list
I
now,
like it.
'cause those are great ones. My number 1 has has always been independence. I think independence, especially in the adaptive, in the disabled community, is so important. Like, and I'm sure you have countless stories about this where you see a parent, a teacher, just someone, just on an able-bodied person on the street, just go out and help somebody, and they don't realize that that help that they're giving them actually hurts them. And so, independence for me is like is number 1. Um, but I'm gonna have to give the curiosity, that's a good one. I don't think the curiosity will ever fall on my top, but, like, the leadership aspect, I think that's super important as well. And I think that can be applied to like everybody, right?
Yeah,
Like, disabled or not. Like,
yeah,
I think leadership is absolutely important, and you can adapt. You can hone in on those skills in practice. So
right. Whether you're a quiet leader, a servant leader,
yeah,
a lead by example, like there's just
yeah.
so many ways.
How do you instill that in your players?
I mean, I'm not a coach.
Yeah,
I don't think I could, I'm not a good enough athlete to be a coach or anything,
sure.
but I think just like even with my students and things, like a lot of times like you all have a role.
Yeah.
And I love talking about like leadership styles and how even if someone's named the team captain or the group leader, doesn't mean that not everyone is the leader. And so like I love talking about that, but helping people see themselves as leaders and like letting that shine and letting that come out.
Mhm.
So I guess the way I help is literally just by talking about it, but
Yeah,
making them think about it. Cause I think if it's not brought up and just said, I think people are like, "Oh, I'm just a group member. I'm not a follower. I'm a follower. I'm not a leader." And
yeah,
it's like, I think I just bring it up and I just point out that everyone is, and then help
yeah.
them figure out their own style.
Yeah, you say you're not a coach, okay, granted, but I still think, I mean, you're around adaptive players a lot, and I'm sure there's values that even as a non-coach, you want to instill in those players. So,
True.
uh,
I guess I do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fair. Um, can you tell me? Actually, we'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, so let's move on to the bridge. Can you give, for those who haven't heard, who haven't seen any of my other episodes, about anybody else who's part of the bridge? Can you talk about what the bridge is? And floor is
yeah.
yours, wherever you want to take it.
Yes, the Bridge is a nonprofit here in Cincinnati. and it's called the Bridge Adaptive Sports and Recreation. And so, what we really want is to just increase opportunities for people to participate in adaptive sports, and whether that means letting them have equipment that they can try out and we loan equipment to them for free, or whether it's just we give opportunities for sports or events for them to come try the sport, is how we started. And now we've kind of expanded to running our own sports teams, our own programs as
Mhm.
well. And, I think some of my favorite are we have these we call them try it days. And, we still have them a lot. And that's how we really started was like, just get people out and try an adaptive sport.
Mhm.
Maybe you'll love it. Maybe you'll hate it.
Mhm.
Maybe you'll at least meet a friend.
Mhm.
And I think that was like how we all started and how we keep doing it. And I love being able to see people try something. And like, just like you said, is like athletes like, oh my gosh, I did something that I never thought I could do.
Mhm.
Or it's like, oh, I met a friend who experiences something similar to me. And now we can experience this sport together. And
Yeah.
so I think that's just one of my favorite parts. And the bridge, like you mentioned, we work with a lot of the teams in the city and we're all partners, and we want to get people connected.
Mhm.
And I think I told you earlier, like I love connecting people. I love networking. And that's literally what the bridge helps do. Like if someone comes to us and they're like, "Hey, I want to play wheelchair tennis." We're not out here being like, "Okay, great, let us start this program." We're like, "Oh no. Let us introduce you to our friends
Right.
and get you connected with you." So then it's like that personal connection of like, we don't want someone just to get lost in the abyss, but like let me connect you, so then they meet you, they get to know who you are, and then there's that accountability, like, "Oh, like, now they're already connected to you." And so we're all just about, I think, which is nice here in Cincinnati, everyone's trying to connect people. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel like
Mhm.
500 different times.
Yeah.
We all can hone in on our strengths and our specialties, which is great.
Mm.
You guys can do wheelchair tennis and, like, let us get you connected, and then,
Mhm.
like, you've returned the favor, of course. Like, if you have an athlete who's like, "Hey, I really wanna compete in the flying pig," you're like, "Hey, go
Yeah.
check out the bridge. They're training for that."
Yeah.
And so I just think it makes it so nice and open, and we partner together for events. So then again, more minds are better than one. Like, if we can all collaborate and all work together, we can have bigger events. We can have more community events. We can have big triad events because we're all working together instead of just spreading out and trying to do little things.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think that's what I've enjoyed seeing that expand so much more,
Mhm.
and just connecting people,
Yeah. Yeah.
bridging people from one place to another, I guess.
Yeah. 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 Say that in the mic real
Oh,
quick.
bridging
Yeah.
people from one place to another.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's, man, I had a thought. I lost it. Okay. So you were one of the founding members of the bridge. That's what I was gonna say. You mentioned Tri Day. One of the Tri Days that we're a part of, Cincinnati Tennis Foundation. The Tri Day of pickleball, tennis, sled hockey, and basketball. One of those was at the SOAR Expo.
Yeah.
It was, discussed at the SOAR Expo,
Yeah.
so,
Nice.
yeah, it was pretty cool because I was like, "Hey, we have all these people, like, let's
Let's do a
do."
big event.
Yeah, yeah, right. So, anyway, definitely would like to see, one of my dreams, and I've said this on the podcast before, but, like, one of my core memories as a kid was traveling to Michigan to, like, I think it was like a 4 or 5-day camp, and it was an all sports adaptive sports camp.
That's awesome.
And like I tried every single sport there was, and it's like I would love to do that in Cincinnati and host something like that. I think I don't know, like I said, I met so many different people. And made so many different friends
Yeah.
and, like, learned so many different skills
We
and all
gotta
that.
do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's on it's on the to-do list, I think. I think we were talking 2027, maybe 2028 of doing that, or maybe, like, doing baby steps of doing, like, a longer tri-day and,
Mhm.
doing maybe a 2-day event and then going from there, so, um,
I'm excited for it.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
will happen.
Anyway, so the bridge. So what is your role now with the bridge?
Yes, so now I'm the president of the board, And
Okay.
so I do a lot more of the behind the scenes stuff, which has been
Mhm.
really fun for me. And really learning with Danny and I've have some wonderful mentors and learning definitely the business side of things and learning about making sure we have our strategic goals for the first year and our 5 years and how we're going to get there and
Mhm.
where our metrics and it doesn't sound very exciting I'm sure to anyone listening, but it's been really amazing for me to see we went from in just 5 years and now we're up at this point where we have, multiple employees and we have independent
Yeah.
contractors and we have a really robust board now.
Mhm.
And it's a very serious business. And never did I think I would be in this position in a nonprofit world, in a business setting.
Yeah.
And I do really like it because I think it's like another way that I'm building something.
Mhm.
And it's obviously um, a different type of building, but just building something sustainable from a business standpoint has been really, really cool to see. And I do like the behind the scenes work for sure.
Yeah. So one of the things I've talked about from the business side, I think with Danny, but regardless, one of the things that I'm curious about. So you at the bridge, you guys don't charge anybody.
Hmm.
And so on the flip side, Cincinnati Tennis Foundation, we do charge, but we say, hey, if you can't afford it, we'll give you a reduced fee, and if you can't afford it at all, then we'll comp it, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know if one or the other is better. Let's say
Yeah.
it's hard to tell, but I guess so can you talk about that a little bit and, like, why you decided to go that route?
Yeah, we had started that obviously initially and it stuck for the 5 years. I definitely think obviously as we're gaining and a lot of different programs and things, there's definitely been a discussion of moving something similar to your model. We just haven't decided which programs yet.
Yeah.
We started it this way and we've kept it that way for so long because, as you know, one of the biggest barriers to participating in adaptive sports or to trying adaptive sports is cost.
Mhm.
And so we were always the goal was to how can we do this for no cost to the athlete?
Yeah.
One of which is like we're not charging for the program or the try it days or the events. And
Mhm.
then the other way is that we have a whole bank of equipment that we loan out to people because obviously it's super expensive to just buy an adaptive sports piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to eliminate the those 2 things, the cost,
Mhm.
because we didn't want those to be excuses, right, or barriers for
Yeah.
people to be like, "Oh, I can't come because I can't afford it. Oh, I can't come because I don't have the equipment. Oh, I don't wanna try it because I don't wanna waste the money."
Mhm.
And so we wanted to just get rid of that completely.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
that was the mindset
Y
behind it for sure.
Yeah, and, like, with charging, it's like, even if there is something that says, "Hey, we'll help you out if you can't afford it," it's you do wonder if you're turning somebody away
Mm,
before they even get the door,
yeah.
right? And so it's like, I don't know, it's great that you can do it, like that, and I'm sure there's people who can that they'll donate and stuff like that. So I think there's 2 ways of going about it, and I don't know, but both are interesting to think about. Both have downfalls,
Mhm.
both have positives, right?
Right.
So,
And
um,
I think that's the other thing too, right? Everything's always shifting or evolving to
yeah,
it. So you can always, yeah, figure it out as your business is expanding for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, that's awesome. What's been the hardest part, or what one of the hardest parts about growing the bridge?
I'm honestly, I mean, a lot of it was, Danny and I figuring out the business stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously a doctor of physical therapy, and I'm an engineer and doctor, and we don't know anything about business. And it I feel like has really flourished once we got like the mentors who've just been pouring into us and like helping us understand the business side of things. And I don't think
Yeah.
we'd be where we're at
Mhm.
um, without that education from them. And it's just a very different way of thinking, which obviously I didn't know how to do and still learning. But
Yeah.
but it's been really cool. And I think we have such the passion and we're like, well, yeah, let's just do this or let's just do that. And then now it's like we've got to really think so many steps ahead of like how's this going to impact, how's this going to return on investment, and how is this going to help this metric, and are we doing the right things to get this goal? And so
Yeah.
it's just shifted, I think, how we have to prioritize things. But it's definitely been a learning and growing experience. Definitely hard
Yeah.
to shift our mindset that way.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just been hard, as you would imagine, with for me, it's all volunteer, and so it's
Yeah.
just on my own time. So just time management for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. You know that's another thing is that I think about a lot is within the adaptive sports space. There's not a lot of money,
Mm.
and it's like how do we change that? And one of the answers that I've come up with, I suppose, that's it's a hard to put into action. Let's say, is there's people in certain sports worlds that have changed the world and opened the world up to those areas. For example, I don't know. Do you know who Magnus Carlsen is? That's okay. I guess I'm a little bit more of a nerd than you. No, I'm just kidding. Magnus Carlsen's the best chess player who's
Oh, okay.
possibly ever lived.
Okay.
And he has been challenging a lot of the status quo, the boring stuff about chess and stuff like that. And he's gotten a name for himself. There's also a bunch of streamers that have helped out. And then you've got Ronda Rousey in the MMA space, and really like she blew up because of just her personality and like her fighting style. And then you've got Caitlin Clark and
Right.
all that, and so like I think I don't see there being and maybe we just haven't given that person enough attention, but I don't see one of those people right now in any of the adaptive sports space. Now, you
Yeah.
and I could probably name some people that are like, "Oh yeah, this person's great," or they're
Yeah.
like really awesome, like Matt Scott for wheelchair basketball, let's say.
Yeah.
He I but but any able-bodied person listening doesn't know
Totally.
that name.
Right. And I don't know how to, because a lot of it, right, is like social media
Yeah.
and um the reposting and
Mhm.
people running this story and that story or highlighting them. So I think that, yeah, because I think like you're saying is like if that would start to take off, I mean, you
Yeah.
can think of so many examples in like the women professional sports world.
Yeah.
And now look at all of a sudden all these players are, finally getting, you know, better contracts and things like that. And it's like we just need that explosion, right? In
Yeah.
the adaptive sports world for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And
It just needs to happen.
you know, one of the things that I think has helped is, you know, you've got the Paralympics that are that are being live streamed
Mhm.
and stuff like that, and they're top quality cameras, and
Yeah.
like there's the crowds are
Yeah.
unbelievable at the Paralympics, and like those events are so cool. Outside of those events, like I don't like there's I believe there's 4 in the able-bodied world, there's 4 Grand Slams, like the biggest tennis tournament in the
Right.
world. I think there are 4 Grand Slams in wheelchair. I could be completely wrong. I can't believe I don't know that either. Sorry.
I
Uh,
did see Wimbledon
yeah,
had they were showcasing this year with
yeah.
wheelchair tennis.
Yes, the Wimbledon is big. We have a tournament that's around the Cincinnati Open, but it's
Okay.
not a professional event, right?
Gotcha.
Like you don't have professionals come, but like that's our goal
Yeah.
is to host an international tennis tournament around the Cincinnati Open, and a lot of other tournaments like the U.S. Open and Wimbledon they are doing that. They're progressing towards
That's
that,
good.
and I think that's where a lot of those tournaments are going. And so you were talking about social media, and yeah, I do think that's a big one. And also, just getting it out there in front of people and
Right.
stuff like that. But
Or even, like, college there are college wheelchair basketball teams, like, those games aren't, at least to my knowledge, aren't, like, on
they're not.
TV or streaming, or
Yeah.
they could be.
I think the real question though is like, I mean, we were talking business earlier. I think, you know, would it be worth somebody filming it?
Yeah.
And I think right now the answer is probably at some of those no, but maybe the bigger events, yes.
Right.
Right? Like it can be less frequent and we can garner attention that way and then
Let it
keep going.
let it take off then.
Here's the other interesting thing. So we do a wheelchair tennis camp every year, and I think this was last year. I asked, I had, I don't know, 15 kids, and they were all over they came from all over the Midwest, and I said, hey, can anybody name me a professional wheelchair tennis player? And nobody could. And I was just thinking, like, I remember, like, and it's a little bit different for me because I was an elite athlete traveling with these Paralympians and stuff like that, and like, I remember looking at Steve Welsh and David Hall, and I don't know, I don't know if you know those names, but like, it doesn't matter. It's like those
You
were
knew them.
those were my role models back in the day growing up, and I was like, I want to do exactly what that guy does. Like
Mhm.
I have a slice backhand that's adopted off of what David Hall used to do, like, and he
Yeah.
was the number one wheelchair tennis player in the world when I was growing up. So it's like, I think going back to the bridge doing the watch party for the Paralympics, like that was so big
That's
because
fun.
like we could all get together and like talk about adaptive sports and like watch the game, and it's like, man, we need to do that all over. We need to do more of those. We need to do them rooting for the UC tennis team when the wheelchair tennis team when they travel. Like
Right.
we need to have those. And
They're hosting a tournament in October,
yeah,
so
yeah,
come out and watch, come out, I'll be there.
yes, yeah,
Or just even coming in person, right? But, like, wouldn't
right,
that be really cool if in the future that could be live streamed?
right,
And maybe you just have it on, like, you can't watch the whole thing, but you could just turn it
oh
on just like
yeah,
you would any other tournament,
mhm,
and so, yeah.
yeah. So anyway, that's something I've been thinking about a lot. So, how do we get more mainstream? And I think, I think there's a lot of people out there who maybe like, oh, there's not enough money in the wheelchair space. It's like, and kind of demand it. And I don't really take that approach.
Mm,
I think I want to take the approach of like, okay, well, how can we monetize it?
right.
You know?
Or and, like, how can we just get, like, right, like, people still don't know about the sports,
Right.
or a lot of the sports, like, if they could just be, yeah, like, they could just see it, not in person, maybe they're just streaming it, and
Yeah.
someone streaming it, they see it at a bar, right?
Mhm.
Like, at a restaurant, think about, like, all the sports that are on TVs at the bar. Like, why could that not be one of the TVs?
100%, yeah. And maybe for the Paralympics it is. I don't know. I'm I kinda wanna test that out next Paralympics is just go to a bar and see if they'll even put it on.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, I would totally watch it if they did. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so here's what a controversial take that I have that I want your opinion on. I think able-bodied people should be able to play wheelchair sports. Thoughts?
I guess from my opinion, I would like that.
Yeah.
I think so, like, obviously, from the Bridges standpoint, we'll let anyone
Yeah.
do anything, and, like, sometimes I can think vividly one of my most memorable experiences, one of my athletes, as a wheelchair user, was in sled hockey, trying it out for the first time,
Mhm.
and his son was an able-bodied, loved all sports athlete, and they were literally, we said like, "Hey, why don't you come join your dad." And,
Yeah.
like, the kid was I mean, he was, I think, a teenager, super excited, and you coulda seen, like, his face, he's like, "I can come play?" And we're like, "Yeah, come hang out." And then literally getting to see the father-son get to do something together, like,
Yeah.
I can literally still picture their faces and how excited they were,
Mhm.
and it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, they got to experience something together, they could both do it,
Mhm.
and they were learning the sport together, and I've seen that with multiple of our sports, and it's
Yeah.
like, why not?
Yeah. So here are a couple things that I've heard from others that I do agree with, but it doesn't change my opinion about wanting this. Is um one of the thoughts is, as far as I think elite competition,
Yeah.
they should be able to do that as well.
Oh, okay.
But what I don't want is I don't want to see 5 people like on a basketball team. I
Mhm.
don't wanna see 5 able-bodied people on the
Sure.
court and the disabled people are sitting on the sidelines.
Sure.
Like,
True.
I wouldn't want that, and there is a point system
The
already, right?
classification.
The
Yeah.
classification where you can only have certain, you can you can't have all able-bodied people on the
Right.
court, right? So, it'd be one of those things, but then I also struggle with, like, if there's an able-bodied person, one able-bodied person on a court of 5, and there's a disabled person sitting on the sideline, I I think I might have a problem with that too. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm sure someone smarter than me can figure out what to do about that.
Mhm.
But an able-bodied person can go play an adult
Yeah.
basketball
That's
game,
true.
right? And so taking the spot of a disabled person is not something that I'd want, but I do think, 1, it would make the competition more fierce. It would spread awareness and more people would know about it. And also the other point that I like to make is I hated watching tennis on the television until I started to play.
Mm.
And, like, th it's so fascinating seeing an able-bodied person who's so good at tennis as an able-bodied person
Mhm.
get into a wheelchair and try to move their chair. It's completely different. And so when you're an able-bodied person and you see somebody moving their chair like they do, you don't really have an appreciation or an understanding of what that is. And so I think if able-bodied people were able to play wheelchair sports, that
Mm.
would allow that.
Fair
Now,
point.
what level do we take that to is the question is like the Paralympics, I think is the line for me. I think the Paralympics should be disabled people at the Paralympics, but anything lower than that, I think I'm okay with for the most part. So
Yeah. Yeah, I guess my answer was all based on, like, the recreational
yeah,
component, not
yeah,
the elite or anything, 'cause it was just for me, all of my experiences have been lovely because it's, like, the family or maybe
mhm,
a friend
yeah,
gets to be able to experience it together,
yeah,
and that's where I was coming from, but
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of different ways.
I love the idea of like I always try to tell my kids who are in wheelchairs like bring a friend
Yeah,
like we can I mean they can stand they can sit doesn't matter like
do
they can
something.
play tennis however they want but then you have a friend that you're bringing and all that so cool um okay so I think it, d do you have going back to the bridge, do you have anything else about the bridge that you wanna discuss?
I think it's just exciting to see, like, how the bridge has been growing, but just to see where we're going to,
Mhm,
and I think just, anyone we want it to be a place where anyone can try a sport, anyone can do a sport, but then it's really been exciting, like, as we're growing to start seeing, like, the more competitive, the athletes. We want it to be a place, yes, that everyone can come try a sport, but we also want to, as we're expanding, is really to offer those opportunities for the athletes who really want to take it to the next level,
mhm,
really want to get competitive, maybe want to play at the college level, maybe want to y- train eventually to get to the Paralympics. And so
yes,
I think that's also the fun part of it, of the inclusion, is
mhm,
it's literally like a nice like, "Hey, come do sports, come figure it out, come try it," all the way up to that's what our goal is really to be like, "Okay, this is the sport you wanna hone in on and practice and train and condition, like, let us help you get there too."
Mhm.
And so I think that's, exciting to see as we're developing that and where I wanna see it keep going to.
Mhm. Yeah. I love it. Do you wanna shout out the bridge real quick? Like, where can people find them? The Bridge Adaptive, I believe, on all socials, and then thebridgeadaptive.org.
Yes.
Did I get it?
Yes.
Alright.
Check us out on all of our, thebridgeadaptive.org. We have a great calendar of events, where you can see what we're doing. We have stuff literally every week. Typically, it's also posted on social media, on Instagram, and come hang out, come try something. Everyone's very friendly and welcoming,
Yeah.
and, feel free to come to any sport.
Yeah. So, and to be clear, if you're able-bodied or you're disabled and you wanna get involved with the bridge,
Yeah.
come out,
Yeah.
right?
Come meet us. We can find something.
Yes, I love it. Okay, let's talk UC Adaptive Athletics. By the way, one question I usually like to ask at certain intervals is how long do you think we've been going?
Probably 2 hours?
Two and a half.
2.5. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Getting my bedtime.
I know, right? It's 9:20. Yeah. So UC Adaptive Athletics. How did yeah? I guess I'll give you the floor on
Yeah,
where do you take us?
I mean, I guess so I've known Jake, who has also been on your podcast,
Hmm.
and you know him very well. I've known him well, probably 6, 7 years at this point, and I remember when we ever since we met, he was always saying, like, his dream was to see UC have college level adaptive sports.
Oh, awesome.
And that was one of my dreams as well, because I had seen it in other states, which I will not mention,
Yeah,
but I'd seen it in other places in the country, and I was like, "UC could be the next place."
yeah,
And so, I always had that in the back of my head. I knew that's what he wanted, and he wanted to be here in Cincinnati, and he's not gonna go move to another state to do it. Again, we can't mention our competition.
yeah.
And so then, as I was kind of progressing through training and everything and getting involved at UC and UC Athletics, um, I think we were just talking is like, this just needs to start happening. This needs to happen. Cincinnati is a place for it. And, listening to athletes from a lot of our programs around the city is like, there's stuff for kids, there's stuff for middle school, high school, there's stuff for adults. But then we were losing athletes who were going to college to
Yeah,
other states and
yeah,
other cities. And some of them were actually interested in maybe staying local
right.
for lots of reasons. Or maybe people wanted to come here, but we didn't have those opportunities. And so it just seemed like the time.
Mhm,
And so, Jake and I had we started reaching out, and I got connected with Heidi at the University of Cincinnati, who is one of the directors of the Disability Services.
mhm,
And I just literally threw out the idea. I was like, "Hey, I'm Victoria. I work at UC. I'm also, the co-founder of the Bridge," and just literally just spelled it out for her. And I think it also helped, right, that I was in UC. I was a doctor at UC, I was a professor at UC, UC Athletics. Like I was a UC person, an
mhm,
entity at UC, right? And then we started meeting with her and Jake and myself and Mimi also, because she's a UC professor. And so we were all meeting with her. And then this, obviously, the question of how are we going to fund this presented itself,
mhm.
and a grant, an internal grant cycle started. So we were able to apply and got like the seed funding for the program from
Heck
the
yeah.
grant. And so that's how we started the whole
Mhm,
process. And Jake obviously took the leap of faith and was willing to come on board and start building this program with Heidi.
mhm,
And they've really just taken it to the next level of success. And recently now with like the bridge partnering with the UC Adaptive Sports Program, helping again for more funding,
mhm,
and helping that get off. But yeah, Jake has taken it really to the next level of recruiting and
mm,
coaching, and
mhm,
we are continually talking about, how can we expand, how we can get more coaching,
mhm.
how we can get more assistance for recruiting
Yeah.
and running the program. And so it's ever evolving,
Mm.
which is super excited. and Danny and Audrey from the bridge are helping him with a lot of events and helping have those co-events, and I know you guys with Cincinnati Tennis Foundation have helped too with events, which is again, we're all helping each other.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see where it goes. And like we said, wheelchair tennis and then wheelchair track and field.
Mhm.
So having the tennis meet this fall, and then the goal will be having a big, track meet, also. So,
Cool.
just continuing to expand, seeing where it goes. We have some great recruits coming in and, just really seeing where we can take it.
Yeah. What, what where do you hope what do you hope it looks like 5 years from now?
I really hope that it's a place that, athletes from all over the country are excited to come to.
Mhm.
And, I think eventually I know Jake's dream will be wheelchair basketball, which I would
Yes.
love as well,
Mhm.
to be at UC. But I think, I want it to be a place where people are, excited to come to. They want to come train. They get the benefits of, yes, they're at, the university, but they have this support and additional support from the bridge,
Mm.
right? So it's kind of this nice mix of like, these athletes can help mentor younger athletes, maybe then
Yes.
help inspire their dreams to get to college for adaptive sports.
Mhm.
Having that cool connection, you're not just in this one silo. You're not just only a UC adaptive athlete. You're also helping to mentor these up and coming athletes
Yeah.
and being a part of the bigger community. I think that's my hope of where it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier about, my camp kids
Yeah,
not knowing a professional person, who plays wheelchair tennis and, like, collegiate is that notch level
right.
down, and it's like, that's great to have a role model, like, local that's like, "Oh, that person's awesome at this sport. I wanna do that too."
Right. Like, how cool is, like, we've even done a little bit of this, but, like, in, 5 years, like, we're introducing maybe middle school kids to their first, um, wheelchair racing that
Mhm.
they can do at their own school at track, and then how cool would it be is like, "Oh my god, the UC athletes are coming to teach us." Like,
Yeah,
that's what I would love,
yeah,
right? Like, "Oh my god, they're coming," like, be able to name them or maybe they get to meet them and they're like, "Oh my gosh, mom, dad, like, I got to learn how to do wheelchair racing from the
yeah.
UC athletes." Like, that's where I hope it goes.
You know, the other interesting thing that I've just, like, had parents come to me at, like, different camps that I coach at, come to me and they're like, "It's great to see an adult with spina bifida, like my kid has,
Hmm,
be successful at what they're doing." And so, like, it is great for the kids, but it's also great for the
that's
parent.
a good point.
So, yeah. Um, cool. If a university wanted to start, uh tomorrow, doing adaptive sports. Well, I guess I've got 2 questions. So the first question is, if someone's listening that is maybe connected to a university that wants to start an adaptive sports program, what do you think the first step is?
I guess the first step is, like, obviously understanding, like, all the parties, like,
Yeah,
all the landscape, I would say. Um, like, understand athletics and the club sports and maybe if there's a disability office or department, because you wanna know who's helping you,
yeah,
right? It kinda goes back to, like, finding the right people, but
yeah,
it's really true, and I love connecting people, I love networking, and that's, like, such a I feel like that's the common theme that's coming out tonight, but, like, I think that was the biggest thing that took a lot of time
yeah.
and a lot of energy is just, like, meeting the right people and knowing who's gonna be able to help us,
Mhm.
but also, like, just like with any big university, right, there's so many, intertwined
Yeah.
pieces, and you have to kinda understand
Mm.
how that's gonna work and who's who you need to talk to next.
Yeah,
And then after that meeting, who do you have to talk to next?
yeah,
And so I think that took us the longest for
right.
sure, and we're still figuring it out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's baffling, like, some of the bigger universities, like, my home city, OSU, it's like, how do they not have adaptive sports yet? Like, that's baffling to me, you
We
know?
got there first.
Yeah, right. Yeah, UC is better than OSU.
Yep.
I said it. No, anyway, yeah, like, I don't know, like, I mean, there are adaptive sports in Columbus, and
Mhm.
it's I don't know, it's baffling that those programs haven't started, but I do think it's pretty important to have someone inside that is, like, an advocate and, like, pushing for it and, like, wants to see it, you know? It's
Definitely.
do you think it's possible to do, like, if, say, somebody in Columbus is listening and they're not affiliated with OSU, do you think it's possible?
I Yes. I think if you're not inside connected somehow, you definitely need to find
Yeah,
that connection,
yeah,
but there's 100% possible that you could be the catalyst for
yeah,
it and
yeah,
start it
yeah,
for sure. I just think you need to find the people.
right.
Yeah, it's just finding the right people.
Okay, interesting. Okay, um, there was a second question that I had, but I lost it. Okay, so I already asked that question. Okay, let me ask you about, so I wanna read you an assumption, and, I want you to say, and I know we're nearing the time that we should stop, so I wanna the assumption I'm gonna read, and you can say true, false, or it depends, and then I wanna hear your logic behind it. So, let's go an engineering topic first. Engineers overcomplicate simple problems.
That's true.
True? Okay. And do you I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. Do you wanna elaborate a little bit?
I feel like it's definitely true.
Okay. Sounds good.
Not all the time, but most of the time, we definitely do that.
Yeah. Medicine, nutrition isn't taught enough in schools.
Definitely true.
Definitely true.
At
Okay.
least in my experience, maybe other places are changing that. But in my experience, yes, I feel like I've learned a lot about it for my own personal health and well
Wow.
being outside of medical school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so the mind-boggling to me. I was asking Christy in the physical therapy world, and she agreed with you as well.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's so
what?
important and we need to learn more. And yeah, I've been on my own personal like path of learning for myself and then
Yeah.
hopefully trying to now educate patients too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, let's do one without one leadership question. Passion without symptoms eventually burns people out.
Hmm.
Or
I guess.
passion, maybe more along the lines of passion versus symptoms and talking about that.
Yeah, I feel like you definitely need the like passion, you believe in the cause, you believe what you're doing,
Mhm.
um, can get you very far.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, yeah, I feel like you can definitely still burn out from that if you don't have the right support or the right um maybe way to execute your passion.
Yeah.
And I think if you're just like running full steam with that idea and passion, then you can burn out or maybe it won't be successful, but you need a way to articulate it and a way to execute it
Yeah.
to be successful.
Here's a interesting one about accessibility or disability. Society focuses too much on accessibility and not enough on opportunity.
I kind of like that.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
agree with it?
I do. I think like the opportunity of like, why can't we just make this something like universal
Mm,
or like, why can't we just make this work for everyone instead of like making
yeah.
feel like such a big deal about like, oh, this is accessible or
Mhm.
why can't it just be yes for everyone? Like,
Mm,
I don't know. That's the
yeah,
way I kind of look at it.
I like it. Okay, let me. I want to ask you a few questions. So you're obviously a busy person, and I'm kind of fascinated by that. So my my first question about that is what I guess like what skills or tools do you have that help you manage your life and be able to do all these different things?
I guess a lot of calendars.
Okay.
Um, I think I think something like I sometimes when I'm, like, on a task, like, I do notice that I do have a lot of focus,
Mhm.
whereas, like, sometimes, like, other people can maybe, like, get distracted with things or something, like but sometimes when I'm, like, focused on a task, like, I somehow can block out a lot of other noise,
Uh,
so then I can, like, get things done pretty efficiently, I would say, like, I'm not bouncing around,
yeah.
even though I did mention that I have, like, a ton of tabs open at all the time.
Yeah.
But, like, I think I can, like, hone in pretty and, like, just, like, accomplish something,
Yeah.
um, without getting too, like, bouncing around.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I feel like yeah, like, time management, like, sometimes I have to, like, literally plan out, like, I'm gonna work on this part of this project, or when I was studying a lot, like, I'm gonna study this topic for this amount of time,
Yeah.
and I would just, like, try to block it, literally time it out.
Uh,
Because then it would, like, keep me from just being like, "Oh, sure, sure, I'm gonna study or I'm gonna do this thing for 2 hours." And it's like, "Am I really gonna do that for 2 hours?
uh-huh.
Maybe not."
Okay.
And I would, like, try to, like, really break things up and time it out, to keep keep my mind going, but not getting, like, too stuck on one thing for too long.
Yeah. What
So,
what if you're on like a on a roll with what you're doing and you're like, "Nope, my 2 hours is up." Is that
it definitely depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would let myself, like, yeah, keep going, or sometimes I have to, like, do a hard stop.
Mhm.
Um, I think a lot of the other thing is, like, um, the multitasking for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I'll complete one task, I'll hurry up and do another task. If I can do it within, like, less than 5 minutes, I hurry up and do it, and then I'll go on to the next, and
Yeah.
so I think it's a scary place in my brain.
How do you prioritize?
Um It's interesting because, like, I think on certain days of the week, I have to prioritize. Obviously, like, if I'm doing patient care and procedures, that's the priority of the day. I'm not really gonna be able to do too much of the engineering side things or
Yeah.
the bridge, and, that's, like, kinda very built in, right? Like,
Mhm.
I can do the bridge stuff at the end of the day.
Mhm.
But then, like, on some days, it can be a little bit more fluid where it's like, "Okay, I know this is time sensitive. I know I need to get this things done."
Yeah.
I think the prioritizing, though, is, like, I try to be really proactive.
Mhm.
So then when things are unexpected to come up, like, I'm not like, "Oh, shoot, I have this deadline tomorrow," but now this urgent thing comes up, so I have to do the urgent thing, and now my deadline's gonna be,
Yeah.
like, blown out of the water.
Mhm.
I try to just get things done really far in advance.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Don't procrastinate, huh?
I don't procrastinate, no.
Yeah. Okay. Um, what about stress? How do you manage stress?
Still an ongoing project for me. Um, you know, I think when I was in, like, training a lot of times that stuff is kinda pushed to the side, but, I personally go to, like I have a therapist, I, like, work with, like, my mental health for, like, therapy,
Mhm.
and, like, really trying to understand my own, like, thought process and how I can deal with stress. Um, Exercise helps me deal with stress.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes, like, taking a couple minutes of just some quiet time helps me deal with stress and,
Mhm.
focus, like, breathing, but, yeah, I think it's, like I don't have the perfect answer. It's definitely the combination of working on my own mental health and exercise and
Yeah.
trying to be pretty present in the moment, and it's still learning for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. That's fair. Um, cool. What how do you stay focused when you're doing something? Since you have so many different things that you have going on in life, like how do you stay focused in the moment?
I don't I think that's just part maybe I don't know if I've ever had to, like, learn that. I think that's just maybe part of who I am. Like,
Okay.
I can just get really focused on things. So maybe I don't know if I ever, like, honed that skill or learned that skill now that I think about it. I think that's just
Mhm.
I can, like I literally can, like, feel myself, like, focusing in on something.
Yeah. What this is kind of related, but you seem to have picked a lot of different passionate things in your life that you're extremely passionate about. What if someone listening is kind of like going through the motions in life and isn't hasn't found their passion? What would you tell them?
I feel like it's an I mean, everyone, I think all of us, even me, like, I'm still finding things and trying to find, how I can, find the passion and maybe expand on it or hone it in, or I'm always trying to find I think the way for me and maybe my advice is, like, we all have really unique and special skills, and maybe we all think a little bit differently. And the way that I've been trying to channel that is like, how can I use my special skills to help people
Yeah.
in my own unique way? And I think that can look different for literally everyone. And if maybe just start thinking like, what skills do you like to do? What do you think makes you maybe unique? And then how can you use that to give back to other people or give back to the world, right? It doesn't have to be like to one specific person, but like, how can you make the world a better place with those skills and let that guide you.
Yeah. That's a great answer. Okay, so we are winding down to a close. What's something what's one thing you hope listeners get out of the podcast of us talking together?
Stay curious.
Yes.
um, yes. I don't know if anyone loves the show Ted Lasso, but I love the quote of like, be curious, not judgmental.
Oh, I like
So,
that.
but I truly feel like, yeah, always just try to figure out maybe why, ask questions. It's okay to ask questions. No question is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I think sometimes people are afraid to show their curiosity because they think they seem like they don't know anything, but that's okay. That's what makes things fun.
Okay.
So definitely that.
Yeah.
Um, Figure out if you what you like to do, but like maybe what your skills are, how you think differently, and like what we just said is like really just see how you can apply that to so everyone can benefit from your skills and your passions for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um, is there anything that we missed that you're like, "Oh, wait, I really wanna bring this up or talk about it?"
I feel like we covered a lot.
Okay, yeah. Where can people find you, and can you shout out the bridge one last time? And maybe if you see Adaptive Athletics has
I
socials.
feel like I have to double check now.
Okay,
Um, yes, definitely check out the Bridge Adaptive Sports, and then my Instagram is Adaptive Sports Doc. So I'm getting better at Instagram,
okay,
but you can check us out there, and then yeah, definitely um, the Bridge Adaptive on Instagram. Our website is thebridgeadaptivesports.org, and hopefully, if you're out in any of the events, come up, say hi to me. I'll
okay.
talk.
Awesome. I like it. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been fun learning your journey and kind of I think a lot of the podcast was just understanding how you think and what you think about and all that. So it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. Well, everybody, thank you for joining the Rolling Forward podcast. If you like what you heard, hit that like button, subscribe, or leave a comment. I want to hear what keeps you rolling forward, or my next T-shirt idea. By the way, if you want to get the podcast logo shirt, you can get this at rollingforward.printful.me. I want to hear in the comments what stood out to you in the episode. What did you learn? What did you take away? Anything you want to put in the comments. I read all the comments. I want to hear from you. So put it in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who you think would benefit from hearing Victoria. So anyway, thank you everybody, and keep rolling forward. Bye.